Gucci Dan Production.
Hello? Stevenson? Anybody on? This is something constant. There's support. Nikisha Lee, there's support. Abigail Lee, they're all here.
We're hearing you, sir.
Ceiling, Winning is on.
Can someone let us know what's the hold up?
Good afternoon and welcome to the Youth Summit on Crime and Violence. I am Shamar Wedderburn.
And good afternoon, everyone. I am Christina Williams, and I'm excited to be with you on today's occasion, International Peace Day. Now, for all of you here, I am seeing almost 80 members so far, as well as our panelists. All of us here today, we're gathered because of an incredible event. And of course, what is that? It's our Youth Summit that is for youth, by youth. Today, we'll be seeing 11 incredible youth groups who will be talking a little bit about what they have been doing to make their communities and by larger extent, their country safer. So as we'll be going through the session today, you'll be hearing a lot more about their work and possibly inspire you as well to get involved. But of course, Shamar will have a little bit more about who are our, I would say, who have helped to make this event possible, as well as the 11 youth groups. Shamar?
Right, and let's go into it because those 11 groups play a major part, Christina, because actually they constitute a major part of who are putting on this summit. These 11 youth organizations, of course, powered by the United Nations Development Program, also in partnership with the UNESCO Caribbean, the Ministry of Education, Youth of Information, the Ministry of National Security, the private sector organization of Jamaica, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, and Rise Life Management Services. Christina, we're seeing that overall this summit is well staffed, well prepared by various stakeholders. Christina, I'm excited for this session, really and truly. If I can say one of the first organizations, if I would start off, is IC. You know what it stands? I, Social, Educational, Entrepreneurial, Environmental, and Development. You want to tell us about the other?
Sure. So next up we have Youth Inspiring Positive Change Limited, and we're starting it to YIPCJA. And then I'm up next, I'm seeing Bullyproof Kids International. Shamar?
Yeah, right. And I'm seeing, guess what? The National Police Youth Club Council of Jamaica, very important and critical to the conversation.
Next up, we're having Total Health Services.
Right. Then we have Norwood Community Development Benevolent Society.
Then the Every Mickle Foundation, which is the Every Mickle Global Youth Initiative Foundation. So they have an extensive name as well.
Call to Lead Jamaica.
Life Yard, right. And then we have Life Yard and Jamaica Project.
Young Women and Men of Purpose, YWOP or the YMOP.
And finally, to round out our 11 youth groups, we have Youths for Excellence Limited. So, Shamar,
right.
11 incredible.
11 incredible. Absolutely
groups.
incredible.
Right.
So as we just going through it, and I want to acknowledge, I'll be hyping up these 11 groups all throughout the day. We want to take the time as well just to acknowledge perhaps some of the most important persons who are part of this event. And that is all of you watching us today, our viewers from everywhere, whether you're in our platform, Zoom, you're on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, every single place. We want to give you an extra special welcome and hope that you tune into us today and participate with us today.
Of course, so I am urging our delegates to please share the registration link. Come on now, guys. We're all technologically savvy. I'm not so much, with my little banger phone, but I'm sure all of you here have your Android and your iPhones. So please go on out there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, in your WhatsApp groups, and share the link and encourage your friends to sign up. It's not too late to come on and enjoy this remarkable event. Remember, it's for youth, by youth, on crime and violence on today, International Peace Day.
And just on that, we want to remind you, just as you share, reminder to utilize our hashtags, just as Christina said it a while ago, ending crime needs youth. So ensure that you're continuously sharing on our hashtags, Twitter, Instagram, every single place, just to tell everyone just how much you're enjoying our program as you're with us today.
And if you're on our live stream, please tag your friends, man. We're not around for tag them when we see them online. Tag them and let them come on down and join us. So remember, registration link, share it, go on our live stream, tag it, and of course, hashtag as well. Right. So what we have next with us, Shamar, see, we're having dignitaries and delegates, and we want to acknowledge all these special guests that we're having with us. I think I want Shamar to start off. Who is our
We
first
have some exceptional
dignitary?
guests which deserve our undivided attention, Christina. It's such a lovely summit, and it's a pleasure that we are able to have them. So first up, we have the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security himself, Dr. the Honorable Horace Chang, up with us. Christina, you see who's next?
I see who is next. I would say this is my friend. I don't know if he agrees. I hope so. Minister of State for the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan.
Right, exceptional and perhaps fitting for this session as well, powered by the UNDP. We have the resident representative of the United Nations Development Program here, Ms. Denise E. Antonio.
And then next we have Director General for the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry. And I actually saw him right there on my screen, so I know he's here live with us. And then next we have...
We love that. Next, we have the director and representative of UNESCO Caribbean, another excellent partner for our summit, Ms. Sadia Sanchez Vegas.
And then we have Rise Life Management Services Executive Director, Sonita Abrahams.
Right, and importantly as well.
She's saying hi.
Yes, hell, we absolutely love to see it. And we have the chairman of the PSOJ's National Security and Justice Committee, Lieutenant Commander George Overton.
Nice. So we just talked about our 11 groups. We talked about our incredible guests that are joining us here, but we just want to reiterate the objectives of the Youth Summit because it's important for us to remember why we are here. So yes, it's a lot of vibes, entertainment, excitement, but the message is also very crucial, ladies and gentlemen. It's about a very important matter. Crime and violence, making our community safer through citizen safety and security. So we'll be showcasing the work of our 11 youth groups, and we'll also want to advocate for stronger youth inclusion because as we tend to say, nothing for us without us. Shamar.
Right, and Christina, I love that you said that because essentially this entire summit, it's, I absolutely loved when I saw it because it underscores the very idea of just what is needed for our society. If we look at even one of the sustainable development goals, a key one for this summit, 16, young persons getting involved, especially tackling issues as crime and violence in our society, is one that's really needed as we try to ensure that, we have strong institutions as 16 is peace, justice, and strong institution, one in which, persons can rely on our justice system, but as well on young persons to be able in their communities to work in ensuring peaceful interactions. I know we have a lot of our organization, we're touching that as well. So everyone, it's so important. And if you haven't tuned in yet, it's still time. Share it. You're going to have an excellent time. Christina, on that excellent time, just give them a little intro of
you sound like you're a panelist already, man. You sound like you're ready to do a presentation for us. I love it.
We're just that excited for the day. Tell them what's in store for us.
So what's in store for us for the next 2 days is we're starting off with our panels of greatness. And listen to me, we're not just fancying up terms, everything that we're saying here is facts. Panels of greatness is a part of our 2-day here. And we'll also be having our keep yourself in check. Yeah? Keep yourself in check. And then we'll be breaking down the barriers and channeling local entrepreneurship as a crime and violence interrupter. So those are all the type of panels that we'll be having throughout our 2 days. And of course, on the second day, which is tomorrow, we'll be having our development challenge, which we'll go into later on in our session. So up next, I think we're going to be having our poll results. And I know JIS is on standby to show us that.
Christina, just for the exceptional reason in this moment, I saw an indication that perhaps the speakers want us to even jump ahead. So we'll have to suspend that for a moment. But we're going to come to going into introducing those speakers in those some of their own ways. So, first up, as we had introduced the persons who should have been coming, we want to just invite one of the first speakers here, which will be the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Horace Chang.
Okay, Shamar, I think we're going to be moving up Minister Morgan first, actually.
Right,
so we're going to start off with Minister Morgan, and then we'll move on with Minister Chang.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you, Minister. We're hearing you.
Can you see me as well?
Can hear you, but not see you.
I'm going to ask technical support to please spotlight you, Minister.
Well, just in the meantime, Christina, I see our exceptional Deputy Prime Minister here. It looks like he's maybe ready to present. Dr. Forrest, if you want us to just go to you for a second to give, Minister Morgan the time to prepare. Dr. Chang, I think for an exceptional session like this, the persons are perhaps intrigued.
Mr. Morgan, you can go ahead.
Just to see.
I come on.
Oh, exceptional. Minister Morgan is ready.
Thank you very much. Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry, Resident Representatives, United Nations Development Program, Ms. Denise Antonio, Director of UNESCO Caribbean Cluster Office, Sadia Sanchez Vegas, Executive Director of Rise Life Management Services, Ms. Sonita Abrahams, Chairman of the PSOJ National Security and Justice Committee, Lieutenant Commander George Overton, our moderators, and Ms. Christina Williams and Mr. Shamar Wedderburn, our esteemed panelists, our youth leaders, welcome to the Happy International Peace Day. Firstly, I would like to thank our development partners, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, for executing such an event. It is not only timely, given the current state of affairs across the globe, but it's also very important in Jamaican context, as we have been grappling with high incidents of crime and violence, particularly among our youth. What is also truly impressive and worthy of our highest commendations today is the model utilized in the execution and planning of this summit. It is in keeping with the government of Jamaica's policy of youth inclusiveness, which ensures that our young persons are involved throughout the decision-making process, enabling them to develop into conscientious, productive, and positive role models that we need within our society today. We must applaud their efforts as we see the fruition of their work and what our youth can achieve once they have the requisite support. I'd like to also shout out to members of my Youth Advisory Council who are a part of this event. The theme for this year's International Peace Day, Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World, comes at a time when after more than a year, the world is still in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has highlighted many of the inefficiencies and inequities within our societies. Unfortunately, our youth have been the most, if not one of the segments of the population which has been more severely affected. Our young persons are contending with losing their incomes and their ability to provide for their families, displacement from schools due to their inability to access the internet, and disruption in access to other social services geared towards their development. These issues admittedly are not new. However, the pandemic has highlighted that even within the youth demographic, inequalities in access to jobs, education, and training, and the internet can be impacted simply by whether they reside in rural or urban communities and the socioeconomic standing of their families. Nonetheless, as we focus on addressing these problems, we are still grappling with the very salient issue of youth crime and violence aggravated by those earlier mentioned issues. Let me give you some context. Jamaica's youth are determined to be the main victims and the main perpetrators of violence in our society. This is a great cause for concern as our youth constitute approximately 28% of our population. Within our borders between the ages of 15 and 29. Additionally, the Commonwealth in the 2020 Global Youth Development Index published this year reported that Jamaica scored the lowest in the peace and security category with an overall score of 0.564 and the global rank of 134 out of 181 countries. Thus, we have to be strategic and swift in our response to cauterize the issues that we are currently facing in getting our youth back to school and in the classrooms, ensuring that we provide our young persons with decent work so that they can provide for themselves and their families, as well as ensure that universal access is achieved in a short time frame. This summit is therefore critical in providing our youth with the platform to participate in shaping the strategies and solutions to crime and violence, which is an issue that disproportionately impacts them. No sustainable or equitable solution can be found without their input. In fact, we may even learn from the projects and programs that have been instituted within their communities that will be discussed today. We must take these models and incorporate them into our existing framework to provide the support to ensure the impact of their work is sustained. I wish to close by outlining some of the programs and projects and plans that the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is doing, which we believe will help to protect our youth for the future. One of the most important things that we're doing is we're about to launch a good parenting campaign, as we recognize that a strong foundation within the family insulates our youth from challenges in the future. We're also going to be repealing Section 24 of the Child Care and Protection Act, which gives judges the discretion to incarcerate youth, young children as well, without charge. Why this is important is that even though the government has made strong strides through child diversion and other mechanisms to prevent young persons who are not charged with a crime from ending up in a penal institution, there are still incidents of it taking place within our society. The implication is that a child who is not charged with a crime, who has not been found guilty, may be placed in the same institution as another child or youth who could have been charged with a murder, a rape, or another serious crime. Another important factor that impacts the youth and also can influence the reduction of crime and violence is the planned reform of the Child Care and Protection Act. We have completed the amendments and are now in the process of submitting it to Cabinet. In this act, for the first time in Jamaica, we will put in a law and enumerate the rights of children. We found it interesting that children in state care had rights in law, but there was no law that specifically laid out a series of rights for children. One of the more important things that we're doing, which we believe that can have an impact in the long term and stem the culture of violence within our society, is the institution of the 211 hotline. This hotline is the first 24-hour hotline that is geared towards taking reports of child abuse and child neglect from the public. It will eventually replace the 888 Protect hotline. It is an easy-to-use hotline, and it's the first 24-hour hotline of its time. The reason why I choose to enumerate some of these reforms, and we have more that we could enumerate, is the recognition that the challenged youth did not begin to become challenged when he reached a particular age. But the foundation of the family, the foundation of the educational institutions and the community have a significant impact on the outcomes of our children. Issues of corporal punishment, which is the use of violence as a means of instruction, have a significant impact on teaching many of our citizens that the best way to resolve conflicts is through violence. It is the intention of this administration to ban corporal punishment. But before that, we need to educate our population. We've already banned corporal punishment in public institutions, and the next step is to ban corporal punishment nationally. I know that the young people who are on this panel and in this conference are fully cognizant of the significant challenges that exist within our society, especially as it relates to youth and violence. I also know that they have significant and pertinent solutions that they can posit, solutions that they have applied in their own lives to assist the country and the Caribbean and in people, even not know that you're going to have a very fulfilling conference. Thank you.
Right, and thank you, State Minister Morgan, an excellent presentation. Christina, I don't know if you caught some parts of that, which is so exceptional, in terms of him mentioning, we've started taking steps, but, there's still ways to go. And some of those we're going to discuss as we continue our forum. So we thank you again, Honorable Nestor Morgan. But Christina, I'm so excited. We're just getting started. We haven't even gotten anywhere yet.
Indeed, we have just gotten started, but it's good to hear these messages coming in, and that is why we look forward to our next message, which is from a resident representative of the United Nations Development Program, Ms. Denise E. Antonio. Is there a representative here?
Perhaps if we don't have her as yet, we might just move on to our
Director General, Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry.
Right, and just before Dr. Wayne Henry comes up, Christina, and I would have loved for the representative to be mentioning it, because perhaps we were talking about our 11 youth groups at the start. I just wanted to give an exceptional shout out as well to perhaps something that is one of the foundations of this summit, in which UNDP's AVA project, or what do you like to call, the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action project. And just specifically just to acknowledge that perhaps all of these speakers here in your opening remarks section have provided immensely to this project. As we're going to the Director General, the Planning Institute, for example, has been contributing massively. They're ones that are going to be involved heavily in the training and mentorship for these persons who are helping for this project. So just as we welcome Dr. Wayne Henry right now for his exceptional presentation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Christina Williams and Mr. Shemar Wedderburn, moderators, Dr. the Honorable Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Mrs. Denise E. Antonio, Resident Representative of the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, in Jamaica, Belize, Bermuda, the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos, I say almost half the earth. Dr. Cedia Sanchez Vegas, Director and Representative of UNESCO, the Cluster Office in the Caribbean, Lieutenant Commander George Overton, Chairman of the PSOJ's National Security and Justice Committee, Ms. Sonita Abrams, Executive Director of Rise Life Management Services, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my distinct pleasure to bring remarks at this very important Youth Summit on Crime and Violence. Vision 2030 Jamaica is implemented through partnership with government, non-government, civil society, and private sector organizations. The role of the youth cohort is indispensable to this process, as ownership of our development pathway and results must begin at this stage. Through deliberate steps to incorporate and leverage the contribution of our youth towards achieving our national development goals. The Planning Institute of Jamaica has been a proponent of this approach, with the youth being actively represented in strategic planning and monitoring and evaluation and oversight for Vision 2030 Jamaica, the National Development Plan, and by extension, the Sustainable Development Goals. This ensures the inclusion of youth in the decision-making, monitoring, and accountability framework for national development in Jamaica. Youth are not passive participants and beneficiaries, but leaders, influencers, and valuable stakeholders. Youth participation is therefore well recognized, both nationally and globally, as critical to the implementation, monitoring, and review of national and global development planning processes. As we celebrate the International Day of Peace 2021, under the theme, Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World, we are reminded that in order to successfully address the issues of crime and violence, strategies need to be equitable and sustainable. Equitable because initiatives must consider the safety and security of everyone, and sustainable because interventions must ensure long-term gains. The issues of crime and violence is treated as a priority under Vision 2030 Jamaica, as evidenced in Goal 2, which states the Jamaican society is secure, cohesive, and just, and specifically national outcome number 5, safety and security. It is no secret that youth involvement in crime and violence is a serious problem in Jamaica. This involvement creates a lasting negative impact on the youth, their families, friends, communities, and the wider society. Data from the 2020 Economic and Social Survey Jamaica report indicated that 1,200 youth between the ages of 15 and 24 years were victims of Category 1 crimes, that is murder, shootings, rape, robbery, break-ins, while another 940 were arrested for committing these crimes. Some 300 young people aged 18 to 30 years were admitted into one of the island's correctional facilities, of which 111 were re-offenders. The same report indicated that the country has a youth unemployment rate of 25.9% and over 10,000 unattached youth. What this is suggesting is that creative and sustainable interventions will have to be introduced to cauterize youth involvement in crime and violence. However, before we can introduce solutions, we must first understand and address the main risk and protective factors at all levels. Thus, meaningful and positive sources of youth engagement are needed now more than ever. This is supported by the Doha Declaration, which was adopted at the 13th UN Congress on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. This declaration, and I quote, stresses the fundamental role of youth participation in crime prevention efforts and calls for innovative approaches to address the impact of gang-related violence on specific populations and places, end quote. There was a time when initiatives were planned from the top down with minimal involvement from the youth. However, it has been increasingly recognized that youth participation in the crafting of prevention strategies will yield greater levels of success as they are more qualified to identify and offer solutions to the issues confronting them. Youth participation in policy development is therefore necessary as the needs of youth vary, and obtaining their inputs is important in safeguarding their well-being. They are key agents of change in planning for and creating a better future for themselves. The Amplifying Youth Voice and Action Project, which the PIOJ has had the pleasure of working closely with since its inception, is enabling youth to actively participate in Jamaica's citizen security, governance, and policy-making mechanisms. This is being done by empowering youth to design and implement demand-driven interventions in their communities that will improve citizen security and safety. The project utilizes a multi-sectoral approach to its implementation, evidenced by the diverse representation of the technical working group. The technical working group includes ministries, departments, and agencies, the private sector organization of Jamaica PSOJ, specifically the Ministries of National Security and Education, Youth and Information, as well as the international development partners such as UNESCO. The support we have provided include monitoring the implementation of activities, assisting in identifying other key stakeholders, including the 10 youth-led organizations, which are direct beneficiaries of the project, providing critical data to support the monitoring and evaluation framework for the project, and facilitating the sustainability of initiatives being linked by linking work done under the project with other youth-based programs being undertaken by the government. Currently, the PIOJ is supporting the providers involved to advance the youth-led organizations to the entrepreneurial stage of the project. It is agreed that this approach is somewhat novel and will provide rich lessons for future interventions targeting youth. As such, the PIOJ looks forward to assisting with the crafting of further interventions intended to upscale and replicate this project and ultimately increase impacts. As we continue to advance the national development process towards making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, we must also leave no one behind. Our youth have a voice and much to offer to Jamaica's development. And though I may be just outside the youth cohort, I am sure I can still speak on behalf of the youth of Jamaica when I say, don't just plan for me, include me. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Don't just plan for me, include me. Something I said similarly earlier, nothing for us without us. Profound presentation, Mr. Wayne Henry, profound. So next we're moving to our next dignitary, which is chairman of the PSOJ, National Security and Justice Committee, Lieutenant Commander George Overton. Lieutenant?
Thank you very much. Moderators, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Minister Morgan, executives of the UNDP, UNESCO, the Rise Life Management Services, Dr. Wayne Henry, PIOJ. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am privileged today to represent the president of the private sector organization of Jamaica, Mr. Keith Duncan, who sends his greetings and wishes for a very successful summit, and that the good work that you are doing will continue into the future. Jamaica has suffered from a serious crime and violence problem for certainly almost over 50 years. And as such, it tells us that our youth have not only suffered from it because of what they inherit for the future, but also they have suffered as being perpetrators of the crime, and also they have suffered from the crime. The activities of this summit is certainly extremely commendable and one that the PSOJ is extremely pleased to be a part of. The youth are our future, and if we don't involve them in crafting the future, then there will certainly be a disconnect in what they take over. They know the language, they know what's happening on the ground. They are the gap to the generational divide. And if we involve them now in the work that we do as the decision makers of today, the baton will pass far more easily and be fully understood as they take over tomorrow. Youth has to be a part of crafting the plans for the future. And therefore, we must prepare them, we must hear them, we must give them the forum to speak about their concerns, speak about their issues, speak about their desires. So with that said, I wish for everyone participating in this summit every success, and that you all work towards a brighter future for our loved country, Jamaica. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Youth have to be involved in the crafting, you said, Christina. We have to give them the forum, give them the platform to express their ideas, their opinions. Very well said, Lieutenant Commander Overton. Thank you for that presentation. And Christina, it's only going to get better. And I want to welcome our next speaker, who's the Executive Director of the Rise Life Management Services, Ms. Sonita Abrahams.
Right. Am I on? Yes, I think so. Thank you very much. To save us a little time, I would just say all protocols observed. Rise Life Management Services. RISE is an acronym for reaching individuals through skills and education. We began as the Addiction Alert Organization in 1990, and for the past 31 years has delivered community-based interventions for hundreds of thousands of vulnerable individuals in Jamaica. Before I continue, allow me to commend UNDP on the organization and hosting of this very important youth summit on crime and violence. This follows up on the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action project, which is being implemented by 10 youth organizations across Jamaica, tasked with implementing crime and violence reduction responses in their communities. RISE is honored to be a partner in this initiative. managing the sub-grants for these youth groups. While Jamaica and the rest of the world are busy grappling with the global pandemic, the issue of crime and violence continues to plague our nation. It is often said that our young people are at a crisis and also at a crossroads, a crisis that many young males between the ages of 16 and 24 are the main victims as well as the perpetrators of violent crimes, as we have just heard from the PIOJ, while women and girls are the primary victims of sexual crimes. However, we're also at a crossroads because fortunately for us, many young people are determined to engineer solutions to address the monster of crime and violence, and we need to give them an opportunity to do so. And of course, this summit being one of those vehicles. In developing solutions to our crime problems, we must ask ourselves, what are the factors that are necessary to ensure that our young people lead a life free of crime? What are the programs? At what age must we begin positive interventions? What is the role of parents, government, civil society, including the church? And what is the role of the young people themselves? In our own work at RISE, where we have been involved in developing solutions for addressing youth crime, we implemented a program in 1997 funded by the European Union, where we selected 40 youth leaders from non-traditional secondary schools in Kingston, trained them in life and social skills education, performing arts and presentation skills, while providing remedial math and English classes for them. These adolescent facilitating officers, AFOs as we affectionately call them, were then tasked with developing and implementing a life skills program for children in secondary schools, actually 400 secondary, sorry, that was the second program. In secondary schools, addressing a number of developmental areas such as adolescent reproductive health, sexuality, the prevention of crime and violence, conflict resolution, among other areas. The mode for delivering classrooms was through the performing arts, which included drama, dance, games, music. Over 10,000 children benefited from this program, and a model for engaging youth in this very positive and exciting way was developed. These youth, who were given a huge responsibility from the age of 17 and 18, rose to the challenge and became role models and mentors for hundreds of young people in some of Kingston's most volatile communities. To remain an AFO, they could not get pregnant, or for the males, they couldn't father children, nor use drugs or alcohol. As a result, many of them now in their late 30s and early 40s have just started families. It was very important for them to not get trapped in the same cycle that they were empowering other youth to avoid, and of course, being role models. Today, some of these young people are still employed to RISE as project coordinators, managers, senior trainers, while others are working with government ministries, some with the Ministry of Education and Health, private sector, and many went on to university. I'll briefly mention another significant crime and violence prevention initiative, which was implemented with funding by the IDB and the government of Jamaica and was operated through the Ministry of National Security and Justice. The CSJP, Citizen Security and Justice Program, was implemented in 6 volatile inner city communities over an 8-year period, impacting thousands of young people in a very positive way, many of whom have remained members of the extended RISE family. We, over this period of time, were able to bring in 400 young people on a daily basis. RISE was one of the community centers, and there were community centers in the other 5 communities. We fed them, and they were exposed to remedial education, life skills training, but they were also given a safe place to gather and to develop a positive peer group. So why do I mention these 2 initiatives? Because they had good incomes, due to the fact that they were comprehensive, they were youth focused, and they were long-term. Folks, unfortunately, there's no quick fix to this problem of crime and violence. A study of RISE's initiative by the IDB at the end of the CSJB program found that young people whose parents supported the RISE initiative stayed on the right path and avoided a life of crime and violence, while their parents supported and remained involved in the parenting component, which continued at the community level. At RISE, we continue to look for lasting solutions, solutions that can be replicated, solutions that are cost-effective, and solutions that can be measured. In closing, I wish to commend all young people who are here, who are involved as part of the search for solutions, including representatives from the 10 youth organizations who have received funding under the Amplifying Youth Voices project and are implementing exciting and meaningful interventions in their communities. RISE stands ready to sit at the table with all parties as we work towards realizing our motto of changing lives for the better. Thank you very much.
I think we're more to say thank you, Director Abraham. So all the work your organization has been doing in communities, incredible, incredible work. Next, we have Director and Representative from UNESCO Caribbean Cluster Office, Sadia Sanchez Vegas.
Thank you very much. Allow me to say all protocols observed. Good afternoon. I am delighted to join you today, the International Day of Peace, for the opening of this Youth Summit on Crime and Violence. Crime and violence are pervasive in Caribbean societies and directly impact the safety of our communities. With young people, especially males, it was already said, I will repeat it, especially males aged 16 to 24, being both the primary victims and perpetrators of violence in Jamaica. Nevertheless, women are also highly affected by other forms of violence. Before the pandemic, about 1 in every 3 women had experienced physical or sexual violence once in their lifetime. Unfortunately, since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, emerging data have shown increased domestic and gender-based violence in the Caribbean and globally. Furthermore, girls and women with disabilities are 10 times more exposed to gender-based violence. Considering the different ways violence manifests itself, we must recognize young people's central role in conflict resolution and building sustainable, long-lasting peace, as highlighted in Security Council Resolution 2250. The Sustainable Development 2030 Agenda positions youth as critical agents of change and full-fledged partners to build a better world for all. In this same line, in part with climate change, youth are recognized as a key priority for Caribbean small island development states as indicated in UNESCO's special initiative for the Caribbean. UNESCO considers young people as right holders and change makers that can contribute positively to sustainable and long-lasting peace building. For example, youth has been at the forefront despite multiple difficulties helping their communities overcome challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We need youth-led and youth-focused organization, movements, networks to work hand in hand with our communities, our school, and other social gatherings collaboratively. And we need them to work on lead peace, to collaboratively lead peace efforts. We need you. At UNESCO, promoting peace through education, the sciences, and culture lies at the heart of our mission. Through youth-focused initiative at the UNESCO Cluster Office for the Caribbean, aim at promoting a culture of non-violence and peace by fostering mutual understanding and intercultural dialogue in a culturally inclusive, equitable, diverse, and pluralistic Caribbean. This emphasis of our work is deeply rooted in our organizational constitution, I mean UNESCO's constitution, in which our member states stipulated that since wars begin in the minds of men, and I will add women, in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defenses of peace must be constructed. Violence is not natural. We need to definitely put all our efforts in building, again, I'll say it again, sustainable peace. Today, I'll say it again, I'm delighted to see many young people who share this vision of a more peaceful and inclusive society joining the Youth Summit, for making this effort more systematic and building on UNESCO operational strategy on youth 2014-2021. We encourage all stakeholders in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean to identify youth needs and aspirations, remove barriers to youth participation in peace building, and provide spaces for youth to meaningfully exchange on peace and security. In closing, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to UNDP partners for inviting us to join the Youth Summit today. I look forward to an exciting event and enriching discussion. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Violence is not normal. We need all our youths, our youth networks, be working hand in hand to combat violence and ensure peace. I want to thank you, Ms. Sadia Sanchez, for an exceptional presentation, but as well for leaving us with those words, because as we go into our next speaker, which we have our resident representative of our UNDP, Ms. Denise Antonia here. As you spoke about, we need youth networks to be working hand in hand. What better than we go to our resident representative, from the UNDP to speak as the UNDP, this body that has been trying to ensure that, hey, let's get these groups of young people to work hand in hand, to get them with some projects. Resident representative, thank you for being with us. Your presentation.
Thank you very much. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Horace Chang, Minister of State, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, Director General, Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director and Representative UNESCO Caribbean Cluster Office, Sadia Sanchez Vegas, RISE Life Management Services Executive Director, Sunita Ibrahams, Chairman of the PSOJ National Security and Justice Committee, Lieutenant Commander George Overton, development partners, youth leaders, delegates, and members of the media. Good afternoon and a very happy International Day of Peace. And I want to welcome you to the two-day Virtual Youth Summit on Crime and Violence, an event inspired, planned, and led by youth leaders with our guidance, of course, and facilitation. On this very special day, amid global calls for peace, are our sobering reminders of why we must persist in intergenerational transfer of knowledge and skills in pursuit of Sustainable Development Goal 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. UNDP's 2021 Regional Human Development Report confirms that Latin America and the Caribbean is the most violent region in the world, accounting for 1/3 of global homicides, although it is home to only 9% of the global population. The report also established for the very first time that greater levels of income inequality are associated with increase in homicide and crime victimization rates, and that the effect of inequality on homicide seems stronger in the case, of course, like has been said, male victims. In Jamaica, available data indicates that crime and violence disproportionately impacts our youth.
Thank you.
Male youth between the ages of 16 to 24 are at the epicenter of violent crimes. Male youths are arrested, jailed, and murdered at twice the rate of the general population, while our women and girls remain the main victims of sexual violence. Yet, rarely do young people lead the interventions designed to address this issue. Addressing systemic inequalities, especially those that marginalize youth, is therefore a critical input into the comprehensive approach being taken to reducing crime and violence regionally and nationally. As development partners, we have committed to strengthening mechanisms to enable youth participation in decision-making and to address and take actions to address citizen safety and security, and to empower youth to implement innovative and sustainable solutions for citizen safety and security. Therefore, the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action Project is a practical example of UNDP's commitment to meaningful youth engagement and empowerment. The youth leaders and delegates here today are asking why we are consulting them, but not including them in the implementation phase. This youth summit is again a demonstration of their persistent call for stronger youth participation, because they do have insight, they do have networks, and they do have non-traditional ways to contribute. The United Nations Security Council moved to address this anomaly in 2015 when they adopted the groundbreaking resolution 2250, calling for young people to play a role in prevention and resolution of conflict through participation, protection, prevention, participation, and disengagement and reintegration. The Missing Piece, a 2018 independent progress study on youth, peace, and security requested by the UN Resolution 2250, concluded that if the right investment in youth are made and their peace-building work is recognized and nurtured, societies will reap a peace dividend. I reiterate the report's call for investing in young people's capacity, agency, and leadership through substantial funding support, network building, and capacity strengthening. Transforming the systems that reinforce exclusion to address the structural barriers limiting youth participation in peace and security, and prioritizing partnerships and collaborative actions where young people are viewed as equal and essential partners for peace. Over the next 2 days, youth leaders will make the case that ending crime needs you, youth, YOUTH, meaning you, me, all of us, partnering strategically with young people for greater impact. This youth summit demonstrates that young people have the capacity and capability to play a larger role in designing and implementing crime prevention and peace-building strategies. Today's event is a demonstration of the possibilities. We provide them with the space to innovate. We believe this to be a most fitting time to introduce the work of a remarkable generation of young leaders who are working in tandem with national development aspirations for a peaceful and just Jamaica. Throughout the summit, we will showcase the work of these 10 or 11 groups, 10 of whom have each been provided with 1.5 million Jamaican dollars grant by UNDP to provide innovative and lead citizen security and safety programs in crime hotspots under our Amplifying Youth Voice and Action project. Importantly, through this phase of AYVA project serves as a pilot, UNDP is committed to mobilizing additional resources to upscale a select number of the youth incubator projects to replicate successes and increase knowledge sharing amongst youth nationally. To ensure sustainability of the gains made through this project and other similar initiatives being implemented locally, I urge the government and development partners to consider establishing a national knowledge sharing and empowerment network on peace, crime prevention, and citizen safety and security for youth organizations. The network would serve to systematize best practices in youth-led community-based crime prevention methods and provide mentorship, resources, crime prevention microgrant funding, and other opportunities to youth-led organizations. The network could be a product of institutional arrangements already in place through the existing collaboration between the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Education, Youth, and Information, and would be further strengthened by the inclusion of select private sector and civil society organizations. UNDP stands ready to support such an undertaking. Over the next 2 days, youth leaders will issue their own call to action as they seek to bring their resources and talents to the table. University students will share new ideas for advancing citizen safety and security through the Development Challenge competition. We must listen, learn, remain open, and be responsive to the possibilities which these new ideas may provide. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of UNDP to commend the Planning Institute of Jamaica, UNESCO Caribbean, Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Ministry of National Security, and other key stakeholders, such as the private sector of Jamaica and RISE Life Management Services, for partnering with UNDP in this important process of discovery and multi-generational mentorship. To the presenters and delegates of the Youth Summit, I hope your experience will be rewarding and productive. Let us all continue to support Jamaica in playing her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race, ensuring that no one is left behind. Thank you very much.
One word, wow. Young people are not just beneficiaries when it comes down to interventions for peace and security, but we're also equal partners. As Representative would have said, we have to listen, learn, and respond to the solutions that our young people may put forward. Thank you so much, Mr. Denise Antonio. To round out our list of dignitaries for this afternoon, we'll now have our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang.
Okay. Again, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for having me. I recognize my colleague member of Parliament and Minister Robert Nesta Morgan, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Wayne Henry, our Head of Planning Institute of Jamaica, Ms. Denise Antonio, Resident Representative of the United Nations, the one program which just spoke, other development partners such as Ms. Sanchez from the UNESCO Caribbean Cluster Office, and Mr. Lieutenant Commander George Overton, Chairman of the PSOJ's National Security and Justice Committee. I've read Ms. Sunita Abrams, who spoke earlier, Executive Director of that organization, Rise Life Management Services, doing an excellent job in interfacing with our young people. To moderators, young moderators, doing an excellent job. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. Members of the media who are listening in, ladies and gentlemen of interest in this particular program, and it's my real pleasure to join so your remarkable team of young people on this youth summit across Jamaica. A pleasant good afternoon again. It will be my real pleasure to be with you on this World Peace Day. It is opportune that we are able to convene the Youth Summit on Crime and Violence on the internationally recognized Day of Peace. Our pursuit of peace must never be compromised or crippled by the realities of the criminal landscape. Ensuring that our children, families, and communities experience peace in their day-to-day life is and will always be a paramount of interest to the government of Jamaica. This government has certainly made it one of our principal area of activity, in fact, number one priority, as a risk to the stability of our society. I'm mindful that the theme for the year's International Day of Peace is recovering better for a sustainable and equitable world. Even as Jamaica, like the rest of the world, needs to contend with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our society, the government remains committed and resolute and has in fact intensified our strategic security initiatives in order to ensure the safety and security of our people and peace in our society. The mandate of the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action Project, which is AYA, which is one of the key partners for this youth summit, is consistent with the direction that the government has taken in our city security plan, which is part of our overall plan to secure and peaceful society, Plan Secure Jamaica. It's a holistic, whole of government approach to dealing with the issue of crime and violence. It is an attempt to introduce systemic changes in the service to a wide cross-section of people in the wider society. Statistics will demonstrate that some 6 divisions are responsible for nearly 60% of the homicides in Jamaica. They are located in what is considered called by the wider side of downtown, but I speak of the southern crescent of the corporate area, involving 4 particular police divisions and 2 police divisions in Area 1, which is on the northwest side of Jamaica, which is our principal tourism destination, but the other economic hub in Jamaica, namely division, the St. James and Westbourne division in Area 1. And I said the 4 police divisions that are located in what I call the southern crescent of the corporate area, oftentimes referred to as the core of our inner city communities. The strong citizen security features, acute youth focus of the projects are aligned to the safer spaces and human development strategic components of citizen security plan. This therefore makes this project a natural fit and a welcome partner for the Ministry of National Security. I wish to commend the youth leaders, other partners who have aligned themselves with the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action AYVA project. You are contributing to a national effort to restore peace and security to all communities in Jamaica. The fact that your activities are youth-led is even more encouraging when we examine that against the backdrop of our crime data. Data over the last 10 years indicates that increasingly the victims and the perpetrators of Category 1 crimes, that is, the homicides and other serious crimes, fall within the 15 to 24 age group. Research confirms that on average 40% of all known murder offenders in Jamaica are young men between the age of 15 and 24 years. In other words, 4 every 10 persons arrested for murder are young men between the age of 15 and 24. In 2020, 16% of murder victims were between the age of 15 and 24. While in 2019 and 2018, the percentage of youth victims relative to murder were again 21% and 22%, respectively. Youth within this age range are taking up leadership roles within violent gangs, are being groomed by dons and other violence producers to commit gun and other violent crime. They are being trained to be successful leadership, success in leadership in notorious gangs across the area that particularly I pointed out. This data is still telling us that our youths are at risk, and the data will be further confirmed by the examination of our crime scene that since 2020, which is near 21 years, we have been experiencing over 1,000 murders per year annually. Again, with a high concentration on our young males between the age of 15 and 24 as victims and perpetrators. We have lost a huge number of our young men, in particular in this era. No one would maybe pause and if you could extrapolate what they could be their productive contribution to a society had they been allowed to grow up and live a normal and productive life. It is a matter of great concern to the government, and one that we are treating with as a matter of urgency. We have taken a strong policy position and repositioned social investment as an all-of-government priority. We are taking necessary steps to ensure the social development initiatives are relevant to the targeted population, impactful on crime. As indicated at the beginning, it seeks to make systemic changes. The work of our partners and the non-governmental organizations and initiatives like that initiated by the young leadership on this pattern is critical, and welcome, and necessary for our long-term solution of the problem. But governments must ensure that the public services to the areas which are dominated by criminal activity are improved and can provide the opportunity and the environment in which young people, young adults, male and female, but in particular, the number of young men are growing up in a better environment and can achieve their ambitions and dreams growing up there. So better public health care, especially for young single mothers, social security support for these single mother families is critical, with parenting support and other soft activities involved. Quality public health care to remove the stress of hunger and emotional pressure on our young people, especially those young men who are young boys who are being left alone to fend for themselves at a very early age. Quality schooling, infant schools or prep school, which are what language you wish to use, primary school and high school, to provide a path for a productive, successful life for these young men, young adults, and young Jamaicans generally. Sorry. Of course, we're not ignoring the critical group of 15 to 24, which must be provided with alternative opportunity. In addition, employment and training to allow them to live a productive life, a life in which they can earn decent income for themselves and in an honest occupation. I'm confident that every young Jamaican has the same ambitions of all of us. They are not born criminals. If they are provided the opportunity to live an honest, decent, and productive life, they will, in fact, take that path. They don't wish to die young, but they will not live like their forebears in poverty and in the kind of economic hardship imposed on them and social isolation imposed on many of them. It is the responsibility of the public sector to ensure that the services to these communities are taken to a level that they can, in fact, participate and feel that they have equity in the wider society and are being provided with social justice in every way. Research further confirms that the school dropout rate among inner city boys can be as high as 70%. No wonder we have the emergence of more and more gangs. These are the boys and young men that anthropologists, social anthropologists refer to as recruitable to gangs. In collaboration with key partners, we have implemented several youth programs. I'll mention with a few: Jamaica National Service Corps, which started to absorb about 2,000. Again, a majority young males, but many young females are involved into a armored act program. Bear in mind, it has two components. There's the military training, what is national service for a year, but there's also significant training component by some members who may not wish to participate and are not necessarily emotionally ready for military training in the Caribbean Military Institute for Technology. We have pursuing a 2,000 recruitment per year. We intend to expand that to far greater numbers as the economy settles down, our budget is approved. We have pursuing in pilot use of music, sports, and technology in a number of schools that is still in the early stage, but will be expanded by the ministry in these particular years, working in conjunction not only with the current government agencies involved, education in particular, but with other non-governmental agencies. Technical training, including truck driving, heavy-duty equipment operation, focused and directed at in our young males in particular. We have to provide them with the kind of opportunity that they feel that restore their self-respect, their dignity, and allow them to feel good about themselves. Culturally, of course, we have a challenge that they want to do things like vocational training in terms of construction, truck driving, so forth. Music is, of course, a primary part of Jamaican culture. And amazingly, it's not a main part of our education system. We have sought to introduce it through the ministry as piloting and summer programs in a number of schools in the Southern Crescent. It has proven particularly successful, and we intend to mainstream the activity in this area. These are all geared toward interrupting the cycle of crime and violence among our young people. Furthermore, the Ministry of National Security is working closely with the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies of government called MDAs for short, to ensure that there's a safe environment within which to operate the new ecosystem for social change. And for those who may have been already committed themselves, we are pursuing an aggressive rehabilitation program within the correctional centers for juveniles. As I close, I wish to reiterate my commendation to the partners of this youth summit, and in particular, very pleased to see the youths who have chosen to work together, work with the government and with international partners to ensure that Jamaica, in fact, becomes the place to live, grow, raise families, and retire in peace. And to the two moderators, it's a real pleasure sitting in and watching in action. You're both doing a fantastic job. I can say as one who's on the other side of the peak, I can see some fantastic leadership emerging from my fellow Jamaicans. You're both doing fantastic. Look forward to seeing you working with us as we go forward and begin to take over leadership in this area. Thank you. Have a good evening and wish for a successful 2 days.
Thank you so much, Minister Chang. And of course, Shamar, I know we feel a little nice. You know, we're top scholar a little bit. We got commendations from the minister. Thank you. And to all our speakers, it was very good to hear your feedback on how important it is for young people to be a part of the conversation, but not just a part of the conversation, but also in terms of implementation. And I would go even further to say monitoring and evaluation as well of these different projects. We have to be at every stage in the process if we really want to achieve meaningful youth participation. Thank you so much. So Shamar, where are we now in the program?
Christina, I'm telling you, there's a reason there's a smile on my face now. Christina, if you're anyone in the audience, if you're one of the attendees and you're saying, I want to get into our panels, right? Christina, I have a message for them. Be excited. We're getting ready. We're getting into it. And we just want, again, as Christina said, to thank all of our excellent, exceptional speakers. And hopefully, as you said, participation is excellent hearing Dr. Chang even say that this project is something that has to be part of his ministry's plan and he's taking into consideration. Well, Christina, we're keeping them on edge just a little bit longer because first of all, we're going to, pause for a little second with a performance, by Andrew McDonald of the UA Circle, who will inspire and entertain with his spoken word piece.
Shamar, it appears we're having a delay.
Right, I think I'm seeing him at the moment and perhaps not hearing it.
Okay, so while he gets ready, maybe we could ask JIS to show us the results of the first poll. Awesome. So for the first poll, we would have asked, why did you join this event today? And we are seeing that most persons would have indicated, 42% of you here would have indicated that you joined the event because you wanted to learn more about the issues surrounding crime and violence. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a perfect place to come if you want to learn more, because all 11 youth groups have been doing incredible work in their respective communities, and they will have first-hand experience, first-hand knowledge about what exactly are these nuanced issues affecting young people, and how is it they've been able to champion the cause of safety and security. Shamar, I'm seeing other things here that are coming out, other results. What do you think?
And I'm going to tell you that one thing that's competing with that first response, is, Christina, even better than learning about the issues, they want to find out, as Mr. Chang said, how can I contribute about that role in crime?
What am I saying now? Mic check. Yeah, here. Mic check.
We're hearing you. We're hearing you doing a mic check. We're hearing you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So let's just wrap this up really quickly. It's surprisingly enough, Shamar, no one said they wanted to win prizes.
I saw it, but Christina, we have a surprise for them. Even if you didn't come here for prizes, ladies and gentlemen, if you participate, if you're with us and stay tuned to our session, there just might be something for your enjoyment. And as you learn about a role you can play and your issues. And it's a pleasure, Christina, as we round it out, to say that no person said that they were forced to be here. And we absolutely love that.
Indeed, all young people here based on their choice because they want to learn, but they also want to get involved. We're going to move right now into our presentation. Andrew, your floor.
Mic check.
Yes, we're hearing
All right, thank you. Night on Manor Road, Sanja boy. I grew up on the corner. One of my farmers, frequent party promoters. Every Saturday is a new event. But I started up on the corner, just this ranking 10. I grew up on the corner. One of my farmers, frequent party promoters, no father. Susie pinch Jackie and say, Sanja boy, don't see? She said, no. Him can go along body. I saw him grow. And him on that stuff. Well, you know, see a Sanja that's a show. But Susie, where the Sanja boy? Him have a pop, just using teacup bag, juice bag. Lacking a privilege because the pressure pile up on them people them. Privileging for pie and cream as the Lord from the pendulum against the belly of the rich and the back of the poor. And you stay there in a veil, you feel to realize the hard life finds you out too. So the poor see a poor together in my profile. And there is no profiting complaining. But the cost of the struggle now don't to do the price on your life, but more to do the principles. Them call Sanja boy hot metal at shell. I want the place get back 9:15. If Susie put a gun in them hand, I never took up a gun 10 years time. I grew up on the Manor corner. Men were farmers, frequent party promoters, chopping up weed with lifts that did flicks and cups of ice. Fire gas when tonight's party stopped. Sanja boy spot out where his nephew, his niece, his cousin, and hollered after the first shot. By the second, pops like our pops to fled the scene of women and children. Scampered from rounds like roses in Maxine's outdoor kitchen. Our shoulders rub bosses carbon wall close like it's soon at jump sign and thrown off broken bottles. I thought the boy Matalan, no left no space between us and for turn. 6 feet wake up dust and piles of plastic bottles of high Porsches. Suddenly a stock shop empty. No big Saturday night counters, no mothers buying mixed parts, no beggars hanging around inside except Mr. Trust. I said no beggars hanging around inside except Mr. Trust. Sanja boy dropped the strap for this newfound hope. After a night on Manor Road, Sanja boy want creative art center. Teach more for draw more than minty. Sanja boy want to book on the corner. Not for him, but for his son. Him try to block them from the road before they pick up the gun. Sanja boys have to block them from the road. And if you want to hear the truth, the schools are fail the youth. Ignorant and fuck them put food in their mouth when they want the wisdom tooth. Sanja boy want more family banner advice. Him don't have tree for feed and Michelle Abid again. Sanja boy want more police power with him friends. And not the ones in mass jail for war, their protection is fleeting. Him never to shoot him friends, him just want better community policing. Better resource make Sanja boy forget about him temper. Because Newland, the biggest ghetto in Portmore, them now have a community center. And the kids with online school are feel it. So now play to be productive and you want crime stop. But some can't believe it.
Shamar, wow. That was incredible. If we had time, I would ask for an encore. As you know, as we would say when we're at church and we have big concerts, we'd say encore. But unfortunately, we don't have time, but I'm very sure everyone enjoyed that performance. I see Kanika and Davin Stewart in the chat clapping and going away. It's the same for us here. We are truly impressed by your performance, Andrew. We really appreciate it.
And perhaps, Christina, you're right. It's put it in context just as we're going to discuss in this forum. You know, if you're listening, he brought up so many issues, and those are the things that we want to be hearing about today. But listen, I'm loving that the chat is beeping off right now, Christina, because we're getting into just a moment for them as we herald this, the start of our summit sessions. Christina, tell them what the name of this first section name, just as they are in the chat.
We are almost there, but just before we get into the panel, we want to have our short intro video because we need the persons here, everyone, over 100 of you, to know exactly who are these incredible young people. We keep saying the 11 youth groups. We want to put some names and faces to the 11 youth groups and the work they've been doing with the AVA project, which is the Amplifying Youth Voice Action Project. So I'm going to ask for the video to be played at this time, where you'll be seeing them working in the field of safety and security. They will be playful, they will be serious, but most importantly, they'll be showing you the work that they have been doing to change lives in their community. Is our video ready?
Christina, persons in the chat saying, love this, love this, love this. You're clapping away as well. Everybody's clapping. I think that's perhaps the perfect introduction to just give us context on our excellent youth groups.
Yes, I see Letitia, one of our, yes, she is the president of the National Police Youth Club, and I see she's clapping. She's one of the members of the 11 youth groups. And is there anyone else here from the 11 youth groups? If you can open your camera so persons can see you. I mean, adjust to the video, but still, If they can see you, please open up your camera, man. You have been doing incredible work. Why are you hiding your face? Young people must lead from the front.
Christina,
right?
this is the perfect section for them.
From Bulletproof Kids International, her camera is open, Neville camera is open, and I see Ricardo McAlpin camera is open. So everyone, all of our persons here, whether you're watching us live stream or here on Zoom, please just look into the gallery. You'll see some of the videos open. Those are some of our incredible, exceptional, which are the words you can use, Shamar? Empowered,
driven, excellent.
Yes, young people right there.
Talented.
This is all about them. So this summit for them, by them, for youth, by youth. So we're now in our, I would say one of my favorite sections, which is the Chill for Your Sec session. So we just heard all the dignitaries. They spoke about the work and how they're working with young people. We just saw some of the work of the young people, the video. But right now we're in this kind of session where we're just taking a little cool out. Just for a sec.
We'll get into the session, but we just we're doing a check-in, Christina. So I don't want anyone to have been sleeping. We're just getting started.
So I think at this time we will show another video. Actually, it's a video snapshot of crime and violence in Latin America and the Caribbean, and it's been produced by UNDP based on the Regional Human Development Report of 2021. So we have this video, and then right after this video, we're going to be having an activity where we want all of you to get involved. So please get ready, be on standby, because we have an activity coming right up after this, where all of you will have the opportunity to participate. But we'll start off with our video. Yes, Marilyn, go youth, YOUTH. Is there a video ready? Okay, so while our video is getting ready by technical team, I am just going to go right into the activity, right, Shamar? I think we can go right into the activity.
We just love this activity. Let's just go straight. We just have to go straight into it.
Okay, so Shamar, do the instructions.
All right, listen, we see everybody in the chat. We see you repping for your youth groups there. We saw everybody love turning on their cameras. You guys saw your exceptional selves in your video, but we want everyone to know as well, everywhere you're watching from. You know, we want you to be saying where you're from. If you're from Jamaica, say Jamaica. If you're in a territory, as it's the multi-country office, say where you're from. Say your youth group, say your parish, and we just want every person in their chat, in the chat room, to just show out for where you are, Christina. The flags are already going, and we absolutely
all right. So big up Tasha K. Swaby from Jamaica. Okay, I am seeing Jamie and Shabazz, who's a senior director in the Ministerial.
Seeing Mandeville and people from Manchester coming. Where the other parishes? Youth can indeed, Christina, inspire positive change.
Yes. Ashanti from Jamaica, Tafaris Gray, Jamaica. All right, big up yourself, Fiona from Manchester. Is winning.
I see a potential 15 parish somewhere in there.
Jada, Kamor, Shanice, Amelia. All right, Asani. Okay. Do we have anyone here who is not Jamaican? Because I would really want to shout you up and big you up, you know. Any non-Jamaican here? I just saw one. Shamar, it's
we love it. And I say Barbados right there.
Isaiah is from Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, Isaiah. Kim, she's from St. Andrew. Kim is a St. Andrew, a different country. I'm kidding.
I'm seeing the Guyanese flag in the chat.
Yes, from Esther. Esther, I don't know if it's Baird.
Bulletproof Kids International, Youth for Excellence, showing out straight out of St. Mary. We absolutely love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. Christina, look at these interesting ones. We have someone originally from Croatia.
Yes, so I saw that, but they're currently in did she just say Portland? Because I am a Portlander. So if you're in Portland, we have to talk about, you know, where you're going so we can tell some of the best spots to visit, you know.
Right. But it was just so excellent that we're stretching so much as far as up into even Europe for our presentations here. Love to have you all as we have you here for our summit.
So is our video ready? I think our video must be ready by now. So we'd like to move into our video of crime and violence in Latin America and the Caribbean, produced by UNDP. Okay, so we're moving past the video and we're going into our pre-panel chat.
I don't think they heard us. We're going into the pre-panel chat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to want to be telling Christina, we have to tell them about these 2 days, what's in store, everything they can look forward to. What's your favorite thing? What's one thing? Tell them about it, Christina.
Okay, so I would say I am looking forward to the panels. Definitely the panels. I'm also looking forward to the conscious entertainment that we'll be having, because you know, while we want to enjoy ourselves, we also want to maintain the, I would say, the energy of the event, which is to talk about safety and security for our young people in our communities.
Right.
So we have some conscious entertainment, we have some panel discussions, we have young people sharing their experiences and achievements with the work that they have been doing, the 11 groups. We also have already set Express Yourself competition, yeah, where they'll be showcasing the top 3 from the competition. Shamar, like, you know anybody from the competition? You know, you have no favorites? Anybody you think
no,
will go
listen,
win?
I don't have the favorites right now. I wanted Joy myself so they can provide. I love how you said provide a space to just give some energy. And you know, even more so that it's the young people who will be showcased, the young people with these talents. And that's what we want to, you know, showcase in this forum and in our event.
And then, very important, we have our call to action, which is to set the pace for stronger youth inclusion when we talk about crime and violence, safety and security. So I know everyone here, I saw it even in the chat, persons were saying, you know, we're familiar with the theory, we're familiar with the issues, we have heard it all before. Lots of us here are the converted few, as we say, but we don't just want to hear issues and reiteration of statistics. We want to hear solutions. How are young people getting involved? How can I get involved for someone who would be watching, whether here on Zoom or live stream platforms? So yes, there will be a call to action as well. And then day 2, we have the development challenge. Yes. Let me tell you something, Shamar. I'm really excited about this particular part because I would have competed last year. Oh. Yes, I competed with my team. Last year we looked at COVID-19 and around education, etc. My team and I, we competed. I wonder if any of them are here. If they are, big up yourself if you're here. And we won, and we were able to, we were awarded paid virtual internships with the UNDP. It was an incredible 6 months. I can tell you, best opportunity, lifetime opportunity, right? So to all those persons who are final, they're now in the final section or the final stage of the development challenge. Big up on yourself. We have to have a little patois, of course, you know, do it for the culture. Big up on yourself. And I wish you the best tomorrow as you'll be judged live here. So for persons who are wondering, you know, how can I get involved? Please come out, watch the challenge, because your vote will also matter in who is selected going forward.
And right, and of course, Christina, we want to involve them as well. So of course, there's a lot of opportunities, you know, there will be sessions where we call on you guys to open the mics, contribute if you want to. We have a lot of, Christina, we have some street vox pops and everything to be showcasing with them. So you're definitely right. And that's what makes this summit so unique. We're not just here to talk about the theories you've heard all along. We're here to showcase the solutions from these youth organizations. I look forward to the panels as well. We're going to be hearing of the work that they've been doing and what solutions they'll be having. So Christina, should we get into it? Should we? Or I think we have another thing left though.
Well, I don't think so. I think we're at the panel. But just to, I see Kali, so she has to come. Or is it a male? Forgive me if I didn't get the gender correct. Kali said they have to come tomorrow, definitely, because we're gonna have Q&A sections, we're gonna have open mic talk. Definitely have to come, and there'll be a few opportunities as well here today for you to be able to engage in that very active face-to-face manner. Well, face-to-face over Zoom, of course. So now we move to our first panel, which is our guidance to greatness.
Right. But just so we can just give them a little instructions and introduction just how we're navigating our panel. So just to remind you, that this constructively around our over 10 groups would have received grants over 1.5 million under UNDP's Amplifying Youth Voice in Action project. Our first panel is just going to be introducing, we'll be hearing from some of them, from their groups, what they've been doing, more about their organizations, plans they have, and how they want to showcase that for you guys. So hope people really, really pay attention for that. Again, we've heard our partners and our sponsors. But again, we want, even meanwhile, no matter if we don't even just want to be scrolling in another app, but listening to them, indicate, I want to see your emoticons and emojis coming up on your screen and being participating. You say Christina is laughing. We want you guys in the chat because there's also, Christina, there'll be a Q&A section after we finish the panel. So you guys have to listen keenly.
And you're not sure what you will be getting in that Q&A section, right? When we talked about surprises earlier, yes. So right, I just want to remind you as well that the Amplifying Youth Voice and Action project is funded by the United Nations Development Program Multi-Country Office here in Jamaica, in partnership with Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, UNESCO Caribbean, Planning Institute of Jamaica, Rise Life Management Services, and a private sector organization of Jamaica, all of whom have been engaged in mentoring youth grantees in a groundbreaking incubator program called AVA. Yes. So remember now, speakers, when we call your name, just to get your microphone open, get your video open, because we want this to be as engaging as possible for all of our attendees.
Right. And just for the persons in the chat who've been wondering, right, you will have that moment right after they present for you, you'll be allowed your cameras to open, so you won't see it right now, but just stay in tune for them, wave your hands and indicate, and at that moment you'll be allowed during our Q&A section. So, but Christy, we have to start to introduce these speakers now, because it's their video. The video is exceptional. And so we have to give them an exceptional fitting introduction, starting off with our panel one.
So for the first presenter from panel one's Guidance to Greatness, we'll be having Gabby Clark. She's a founder and the president of Bully-Proof Kids. So let me say that because it's actually like a pun. Right. Founder and the president of Bully-Proof Kids International. And she'll be speaking on building resilience, promoting kindness. Gabby, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Shamar and Christina, and happy World Peace Day, everyone. It was Sam Altman who said, young people willing to push super hard to make something happen are among the most powerful forces in the world. So, hello, powerful people. My name is Gabby Clark, and I'm the founder and president for Bully-Proof Kids. And we believe that bullying prevention is crime prevention. Allow me to share my screen with you for this brief presentation. Okay, so here's how it's gonna go, okay? Can we see my screen? Yes, I believe so. So the title of our AVA micro project is Building Resilience, Promoting Kindness, which also happens to be the tagline for our organization. And we chose the Bonsfield Primary and Infant School located in the deep rural community of Flamstead, St. James. I now invite you to watch this video clip.
Bully-Proof Kids is an organization which I founded in 2015, dedicated to providing resources and information for parents, teachers, or students to deal with bullying and to know how to prevent bullying in their environment. I started Bully-Proof Kids because when I was younger, I was bullied, and I really did not like how I felt. I didn't want to go to school. I was hiding behind lunch kits. If you asked me if I wanted to go to school at the time, I would have said no, hid in the bathroom or something. And so if I felt that way at that age, when it was really mild, imagine how other students felt. And so I believe that it was really important to spread awareness about this issue because it is really common in schools, but unfortunately it's not addressed or acknowledged as it should be. We're targeting everybody because every child matters and each of their voices individually and collectively matter despite the age. What we're doing here is we're not only fencing the perimeter of the school to make it more secure, we're initiating a anti-bullying awareness campaign where we will educate the young people about what bullying is, how they can prevent it, and how they can be voices in not a fight, but a stand against something that is affecting a lot of our young people now.
So now that you know what Bully-Proof Kids is about, meet the vibrant and beautiful team who helped to make this project a reality. Oh, to my team out there, hey guys, big up yourself. Thank you. Thank you so much for the great work. So we are here because we have a passion for youth development and a desire to become catalysts in the transformation of our youth and the restoration of our nation. So our project is aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goal 16, which speaks to peace, justice, and strong institutions. The overall objective is to create a safe and secure environment for the students and staff at the Barnesfield Primary and Infant School. We want to accomplish this by 1, implementing an anti-bullying ambassador training program and installing a perimeter chain link fence. This will benefit 250 students and 15 teachers, but by extension, the entire community as well. We are anticipating 2 key outcomes. 1, a reduced number of incidents of physical security violations over time, and 2, a reduced number of incidents of bullying over time and an improved sense of safety and security for the staff and the students while at school. So 3 categories will be addressed in our project: personal safety, cyber safety, and physical safety. Personal and cyber safety will be addressed through our anti-bullying and online safety training workshop. For this, 24 students were selected to participate in a 5-day workshop, after which they will be badged as anti-bullying ambassadors. All our training modules have been reviewed by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. The physical safety of the students will be addressed with the installation of an ornamental chain link fence at the back of the school. This will prevent unauthorized persons from using the school as a thoroughfare and keep the students safe within the school compound. So what are the specific issues being addressed? For personal safety, we have noticed that there's a lack of awareness about bullying and how to deal with it. And generally, most teachers are not fully equipped to deal with bullying. For cyber safety, we realize that our children don't know how to navigate the internet safely and with all the risk out there, including online predators. So with regards to physical safety, this video provides a very, very clear picture of the current situation and why the fence installation is a very high priority. The Thatch Tree River runs right through the school in very close proximity to the buildings. Additionally, the school is used as a public thoroughfare. So can you guys see the river? It's crazy. So let's take a look at these numbers. So approximately 29% of the students believe that bullying contributes to killing or murder, 16% of students believe bullying contributes to death, and 12% of the students believe bullying contributes to violence. This was a study commissioned by the Child Development Agency, now CPFSA, on the impact of peer abuse in 2015. As you can see, quite obviously, bullying is a very serious issue that needs to be addressed with much urgency. And here lies the meat of the matter. Bullying prevention is crime prevention. I'm gonna say it one more time. Bullying prevention is crime prevention. We could also argue that bullying is an early sign of criminal behavior. I mean, it may sound extreme, but investigations have shown that some of the long-term effects of bullying include mental health challenges like depression or suicidal thoughts, and even crime and violence. So we conclude that efforts to prevent and reduce bullying can serve to reduce later criminal behavior and save lives. So our call to action goes out to you, to the government, policymakers, and our school and private sector stakeholders. We would like to see more schools adopting anti-bullying and safety training programs, private and government sector support and sponsorship to replicate this project throughout schools with similar issues, greater collaboration and partnership between the government and youth organizations to address bullying, accessible resources and programs for parents and teachers to get help with bullying, and the development of an anti-bullying policy.
It's time for children, it's time for youth, it's time for the 3-year-olds to step up and say, listen, I need to do this, I need to change this, because at the end of the day, it's my future that's going to be affected if this isn't changed.
So with that said, I'd like to thank you all for your attention and your support, and a big thank you to UNDP, UNESCO, Rise Life, and all the other partners. To Mrs. Porter and her team at Bondfield Primary, thank you. I cannot end without a very special thanks to Miss Charmaine Daniels and the Digital Foundation for their donation of tablets, masks, and credit for this project. We also invite other organizations to come on board and support us in any way you can. Let us know if you have any questions, and you may also find us on Instagram at Bullyproof Kids and email us at info@bullyproofkidsinternational.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabriella. I don't know, I always call it Gabby. I didn't realize your name was actually Gabrielle.
No,
Great
you
work.
can definitely call me Gabby. Everyone calls me Gabby.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And anyone here is watching, if you want to donate, as she said, please reach out and help her to advance the vision even further. Next, we have Call to Lead Jamaica, and they'll be speaking on Call to Mentor, mentoring students at risk at select corporate area high schools. And the presenter will be Mr. Horenzo Chambers. Call to Lead. Okay, all right, next we have Miss Letitia White. She's the president of the National Police Youth Club Council of Jamaica. And she'll also be presenting with Sergeant of Police Ricardo McAlpin. And they'll be presenting on building positive influencers, mentorship program, and end youth involvement in crime and violence campaign. Letitia White and Sergeant of Police Ricardo McAlpin.
Good evening, everyone. I am Sergeant Ricardo McAlpin, National Coordinator for the Police Youth Club Movement in Jamaica. And with me is my National President for the Council, for the National Police Youth Club Council of Jamaica. We'll start by having Letitia going first, and I will come in at a point in the presentation. Please welcome us as we are about to enlighten you on our project, Safe and Sound Jamaica.
I'm not sure what is happening. My screen is frozen. Give me a minute. Let me start that out. So, there we go. I'm not sure why the screen is not moving. Could the technical team share the PowerPoint for me, please? If it's possible, I think.
Okay, so while we're having that resolved, oh, seem we have it up. Is it working now, Letitia?
No, could you give me some minutes? Let me start.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so Shamar, we just heard from Gabby on what she has been doing to build resilience and promote kindness through her organization. And we're now about to hear from Letitia and Ricardo. And one of the things that keep, coming to me is just how these young people would have seen an issue. And instead of sitting and being like, well, it's government's job, or it's school administrator's job, or community practitioner's job, we are going to take it upon ourselves to do our part. I think that's just simply incredible.
Right, I agree with you. I completely agree. Even when Gabby was mentioning just how come, even an issue like bullying, which perhaps many persons floss of as, that's unrelated. She's like, no, this is even something. Let's just not just leave it alone in our area. Let's try to tackle this and to see how I can implement measures to be helping with this. So I definitely agree with you.
So one thing I appreciate as well from these young people, I mean, yes, they're now part of the AVA project, which is facilitating funding for their projects. I believe it's 1.5 million per team. Well, per one of 10, because I believe 10 of the groups are being funded by the project. But I am sure, based on the track record I'm seeing, both here being presented now and what I'd have seen before in preparation for the summit, they have been doing work even with the limited funding.
Have you seen that video? They are working, they're working, and we absolutely love that we're presenting here. I agree with you. They're exceptional.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if there are persons here, once again, it's not a fundraiser event, I know, but still the young people's work must be applauded. And if there's any way which you can support, even if you're a young person yourself and you want to lend support by becoming a volunteer, you can reach out to them and say, I want to offer myself to volunteer. I can give you a few hours. You never know how far that kind of collaborative effort could go to really change lives in our communities. So I see that we now have our video up and running. So once again, we invite Letitia White and Ricardo McAlpin to present on their project.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. You know how technology is. As mentioned earlier, my name is Letitia White, and I am the president for the National Police Youth Club Council and the project manager for the Safe and Sound JE microproject funded by the United Nations Development Program. Now, the National Police Youth Club Council is an arm of the Jamaica Constabulary Force that deals specifically with community development, in addition to youth development, just the same. Now, can someone just move the slide? Actually, thank you. Now, what is the Safe and Sound JA project is about? Now, the Safe and Sound JA project is designed to bridge the gap, the communication barriers between the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the deaf community. The police report is the single most important document between a victim and justice. It is the first and necessary step towards a case being admissible in court. Now, when a report is written by a relative of a deaf person, it is deemed inaccurate, hence limiting the possibilities of a deaf person accessing justice. As such, the National Police Youth Club Council, I'm not sure if you can move the slide. Thank you. So let's backtrack. Now, the challenges the deaf community faces. So based on the consultation session with the deaf community, executed through this project, Safe and Sound JA, the following are the main challenges that the deaf community faces. 1, communication barriers between the Jamaica Constabulary Force when making a police report. 2, lack of personal funding to source an interpreter. Interpreting service, trust me, is very expensive. Lack of confidence to make a report at the police station. So during our consultation session focus group with the deaf community, we found out that most of the members in the deaf community weren't motivated to make police report. Next slide. Now, when executing this project, we realized that there was little to no statistics to support, our project. So we had to do our own statistics. So we did a survey with persons from the deaf community, and we asked, were there any communication challenges when making a report? 48.1% said no, and 51.9% said yes. We will then ask, were you given an interpreter? 70.4% said no, 29.6% said yes. Next slide. Now, if given an interpreter, we asked if they had to pay. 85.2% said no, 14.8% said yes. We then asked, do you feel comfortable to make a police report at the police station? 55.6% said sometimes, 36% said no, 7.4% said yes. Mr. McAlpin? Not sure if you see him, let me continue. So challenges that the Jamaica Constabulary Force faces: communication barriers, again, when dealing with the deaf community. No budget allocation for interpreting service at the police stations island-wide. Few Jamaica Sign Language trained police officers. So those are the main challenges that the Jamaica Constabulary Force faces. Now, statistics from that survey, which was conducted with members from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, we asked, have you ever sent home a deaf person who wants to make a police report simply because you don't understand what they're saying? 100% said yes. And that is very alarming. We then asked, do you know basic sign language? 77.3% said no. 22.7% said yes. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, method use. So during this project, we use 3 methods. We use consultations, surveys, training/workshops. Highlights of the workshop, which was very successful. And I'm pleased to report that 35 police officers are now trained in Jamaica Sign Language. Come on, I want to see the reaction. That is a big deal. I am so sorry that I don't have the photos from this morning handing over ceremony at the Mandeville Police Station. We handed over the interpreting system there, and we also handed out the certificates to the police officers who participated in the workshop. So I am so sorry that my PowerPoint here is not working, technical difficulties, but the show must go on. Call to action. Now, for a more powerful and greater impact that will uplift the deaf community, a systemic change is needed. And as such, here are a few recommendations that the National Police Council is recommending to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and by extension to the Ministry of National Security, the Minister of National Security, that is. A budget allocation that supports interpreting service for deaf persons at all police stations. Currently, this project is only facilitated at the Mandeville Police Station and the Halfway Tree Police Station. Making Jamaica Sign Language a mandatory course during police officers training school. Make it a part of the curriculum. And third, creating a branch, just in the same way there's a special operation branch, creating a branch specifically for members from the disability group. So yes, that is our call to action, and we hope that you enjoy the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Letitia. Great job. And I would think to clap, you can help me, Letitia, because you would know this even better than I do. When you want to clap and you're doing that and you want the deaf to understand, you would do this, right? Yes, I remember that. So, and for those of you who can open up your videos, it'd be good for you to just do this for a second. All right, great job, Letitia. All right, so Shamar, where are we at?
Right, so first of all, you know, Christina, we just essentially just reflecting on just that excellent panel and everything that's going on. You know, we want to first allow to see if just we have any, for example, any Q&As or any questions just to take during this segment, right? And then I believe we have our video, our missing video, Christine, at the end of panel one, that we're going to get to.
Awesome. So Brittany Hutchinson is asking the question, what is Miss White's position? She's the president of the National Police Youth Club of Jamaica. That is her position. And if I'm not mistaken, you're the first woman president, right, Letitia?
From Manchester, yes.
From Manchester, okay.
She is the second female president overall in the history.
Overall. Wow, that is incredible. That is incredible. So you see women, youth women leading from the front. Big up yourself, Letitia. All right, so Orenzo is not here from Call to Lead, so we will be pretty much, our panel has culminated. That is our first panel, right. Guidance to Greatness. Just to remind you, we had Gabby Clark from Bullyproof Kids International, and then we just had Letitia Wright and Ricardo McAlpin from National Police Youth Club. Well, National Police Youth Club of Jamaica, right? I hope I get that right.
Right.
Good. So we are now at the point where, Shamar, where are we now at the point? We're now at the point of our video, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So we're going to ask technical team to showcase our video. It's a video on the impact of violence in Latin America and the Caribbean. It has been produced by UNDP. Okay, that was our video on the impact of violence in Latin America and the Caribbean, produced by UNDP. And now we're moving straight into our Q&A section for this panel.
So we have one question here, Christina. It's from Nicola Goodlit, that's asking, how can one become a part of the youth club? And is there a specific age to join? So I want to put this to just, our last presenter, Letitia, how does one just become part of this youth club, getting involved in this first place?
Or Ricardo can also answer if he's here. I'm not sure if Letitia dropped off.
Yeah, definitely.
Letitia or Ricardo, not here. Well, while they're, I'm not sure what's happening with them behind the scenes, but what I can say from my experience serving on the National Youth Council, which has some similar structure, is that you can start off by becoming a part of a club in your community, because that's what they really do. It's really a body of community clubs. So you could start off by becoming a member of a club in your community or in your parish, because there may not be one in your community, but there may be one in your parish. And if you can't, because one doesn't exist or one is defunct, you could think about either starting one with a group of like-minded individuals who also wants to see change, or you could probably revive one that has been defunct. I would guess that they have a lot of clubs across Jamaica, because the National Police Youth Club is one of the largest youth organizations in Jamaica in terms of its membership. So you could definitely look for that as a way to get involved.
So definitely they can get involved, in a way, starting their community any way you want to, and start getting involved with your police youth club just in that way. I don't see if we have another question.
Okay, so I'm seeing a question from one of our streamers online. It's from Colin. And Colin says, I have no disability hearing or anything. In my opinion, most times I'm trying to make a report on someone, I'm most always deterred by the ones at the stations. And I think this is also for Letitia. I don't know if she has any comments on this particular point. How about how is it that we can ensure that when persons
Well, definitely as well, that is something that, as we're speaking about at the summit, you've been hearing, whether it's bullying kids, persons, from the deaf community, any kind of disability, we want to show that we are tolerant of absolutely nothing of the such, and every single thing has to be addressed. I know if you don't even have a question, you can even be providing your comments just as these as in the chat as well, just as we are continuing here. I don't think Letitia is here with us or Ricardo. So
sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but there will be other opportunities. You can always reach out to them on their Instagram pages as well. And I'm sure they'll be very willing to answer any questions that you may have when you reach out. Okay, so we want to now have our call to action for panel one recap. And we'll have the tech support to just showcase that us first really quickly. So all of us here can just see what is it that we just discussed in panel one, which was our Guidance to Greatness panel, delivered by Gabby Clark and Letitia Wise and Ricardo McAlpine. So that's our call to action panel one recap visual. Okay, so there we are. Shamar, any comments?
Christina, if we're looking at it, we're seeing as with, it's echoing a lot of the things we've seen from this panel presentation so far. Effectively, Christina, we are making it known, if you're just joining us for this, our summit, that here we calling for there's no place for bullying And we are calling for safety training programs to create accessible resources. I think Christina is showing, therefore, that we actually want structured enhancements for solutions for all of this. Here they're saying they want government and private sectors to support, as well as sponsor, constantly being there in terms of collaboration and to assess. A lot of programs, we don't just want to say, if we have this program already dead in the water. So I think these call to actions are providing very, very meaningful calls for improvement.
Awesome, Shamar. So we have had our panel, we have seen our call to action now being showcased on screen, but we like to mix up things with some entertainment, so with the edutainment. So we're going to move right into having our next performance, which is from Antonia Valer. She'll be doing, I'm guessing, a poem. Well, she's a poet, she's an author, and she's a poet, and she'll be doing a poem for us.
Are you seeing me?
We are seeing you and we are hearing you.
Okay, thank you. So greetings and salutations to everyone, the panel, and like everyone who is listening and watching. So my name is Antonia Valer. I am a Prime Minister Youth Award in Arts and Culture, as well as I was recently nominated in the IRAMA, which is International Reggae and World Music Awards. That was a great honor for our youth. And my first piece is Silence, and it's taken from my book, Prose Among Stones, that can be found on Amazon. Silence. When was silence a defense? When did we start to retreat? Tell me, when did dignity and justice disappear? When did it not matter? Tell me, when murder was accepted? Why have you not spoken? Take a stand. Were you not watching the freedom fighters? Martin Luther King, Bob Marley, Rosa Parks, our heroes. Tell me, when was silence a defense? Am I alone? Am I the only one hurting? Where has everyone gone? Close mouth, keep silence? Well, no more. If I must be alone, I must to stand for truth, God's truth, to stand for justice, not to withdraw. I will pay the consequences. Am I in fear? Sure, it's a human sensitivity, but it's through fear that courage is built. Can I withstand? At least I will try, but I guarantee that everyone will know that I spoke out and that silence was never my defense. My second piece is titled Youth Fear of Ambition. My youth, oh you stay so. And what kind of behavior this? Who you are threatening about copper shot, battle broke tear gas face? You are behave like you are T-Rex, Wolfgang Dracula, claim you go for me juggler, but me want man with syntax, left to inspire, hopeful, merciful. Me not behave like Freddy versus Jason or Grim Reaper. What it paid when all of them dead. So my youth, take up your pants in your hand, change up your ways, start up better, clean up your mind till the behavior match your tire. Stop cheat yourself. Youth, rise up and go art and get some certification in a plumbing or construction. Go learn a skill. If I know that are your plan, then sell some fruits, cherry, mango, guava, or some grown provision. Yam, cocoa, banana, or jelly water with the people structure. Youth, elevate yourself, elevate your mind. Don't confine, don't imprison. As some say we hopeless, worthless. This is a generation of viper. Prove them wrong. We not take bad talk. Negativity, we eliminate from the electrons to the neurons. Positive energy, may I emit from a cranium. My youth, take a leaf out of both records. Running the race must have a plan. Be the best of you, your version.
Conquer a nation till you conquer a planet. Till the next generation will be a force to be reckoned with. Because you had ambition, made a plan, execution. No, you is an inspiration. My last piece will be taken from my book, Out from Babylon System, Liberation of Minds. And the title of this piece is Revolutionary Minds. I want you to think positive today. Speak up when you have something to say. Stand up and let your voice be heard whenever injustice knocks at your door. Do not be afraid to cry out for mercy. Do not be afraid to cry so that the world may be at your knees. Do not be afraid to be vocal, whether foreign or local. Do not be afraid to challenge the stagnant system, whether by voice or by the written word. Let our hearts beat as one as the Congo did. Sing out the great reggae legend philosophy, Bob Marley. One love, one heart, let us get together and feel all right. I is a woman of righteousness. Everywhere me step, jobless. Every vagabond has to scatter, as the power under which I dwell is internalized. Out of me, the Almighty specialize, and their wicked cult cannot suffice. So open up your eyes, please do realize. Take away the cobwebs and remove the mask of disguise. See, I prophesy. Paint away the graffiti of one's mind. Remove the zinc fences and cardboard boxes that tries to manipulate. See God. See the devil when he masquerades. Realize his plan is advocates and be aware. It is a physical, a spiritual warfare. Soldiers, put on your armor. Prepare for war. Keep your mind open, keep it secure. The gateways to your soul. Protect it with spiritual intervention. If you don't, delusion, difficult situation under the system's manipulation. All an herbal spiritual meditation and revolutionize, modernize this your mind. Give thanks.
Give thanks. I see Shamar clapping away. Everyone in the chat is going off. They loved it.
That was
all three.
Well, just when I thought, I was like, okay, this lady's talented. I had to be like, whoa, hold on.
She just took it to the next level, right?
Listen, I wish that was what I wish I could get an encore, but I just might have to be satisfied as we move through our program, Christina.
Indeed. Thank you so much again, Antonio. Really love those three pieces. Very relevant and very profound, given the context of our summit and the context of where we are as a people globally. All right, so we're now moving into our second panel, and this one is called Keep Yourself in Check. Yeah. How many persons here have kept themselves in check? Yeah? Yes, could put the yes in the chat.
I don't say the yeses yet.
For this period, in whatever way that means to you, it means different things, I'm sure. So we're going to start off first with Abigail Batik, and I'm seeing Xing. I'm going to say Xing. So Abigail Batik and Xinglin, they're both.
They're both ambassadors of the Every Maker Foundation. We're seeing them. We're seeing their face.
And yes, and their position is on Mickle Fire kits for a safer Jamaica. Okay, let's go.
Thank you.
Girl power. Okay.
Share screen. Okay. Are you all seeing my screen? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. We are the Ever Maker Foundation. I'm Abigail Batik.
I'm Xingling.
And we will be presenting our project, the Mickle Fire Kids for a Safer Jamaica. But first, let's just tell you a little bit about Ever Mickle. It's a video.
The Every Mickle Foundation is a youth-based and youth-led nonprofit organization operating since 2013 in an effort to make a muckle not just in Jamaica, but in the rest of the world. We currently have over 150 amazing volunteers, 95% of whom are under the age of 25. As youth with passion and purpose, we serve our fellow youth who are disenfranchised and underprivileged in the areas of environmental sustainability, agriculture, sustainable development, women's empowerment, safety, education, literacy, financial literacy, mental and physical health, the performing arts and sports, cultural awareness, and global citizenship. We provide holistic, impactful, and sustainable service in order to create transformative impact, not just in the systems that have been set up by society, but in those whom we serve. We are excited to present this project to you today, and we thank the UNDP for the opportunity to make an impact in Jamaica.
Okay, so now that you know who we are, let's talk about our approach to safety. So we believe that safety begins at home. In theory, the solution might sound simple. However, this is reality, and this is just not the case. So there are many root causes of crime and violence and the issue of safety, one of which is education. We know that education is key to effect transformative change. We want to educate the children at our homes, and it is our hope that this will cause ripple effects for the incoming generations.
Introducing the Mickle Fire Kit. Before we introduce the Mickle Fire Kit, we have a quick question for you. So, how many Jamaicans were rendered homeless due to fires between 2014 to 2018? Drop your responses in the chat. Okay, I see some B's, C's. I think I saw a D. Okay, the answer is actually D. 11,031 Jamaicans were rendered homeless due to fires between 2014 to 2018. This number is very alarming to us. Therefore, we came up with the solution, Mickle Fire Kit.
So what will these kits entail? So in each kit, there will be 3 fire blankets, 1 CO2 extinguisher. This CO2 extinguisher is mainly used for electrical fires, 2 ABC fire extinguishers, which are for they're multi-purpose fire extinguishers. We'll also have smoke detectors and of course a first aid kit.
Through our initiative and workshops, which we'll discuss in the later slide, we want to educate the children, which makes them feel safer and more empowered at the homes.
So what exactly is our method for this initiative? So we'll be working with 3 of our children's homes, Dare to Care, Matthew 2540, and Martha's House. We will be partnering with the Jamaica Fire Brigade to host week-long workshops about fire safety at each of these homes. We'll also have fun Mickle fire safety booklets, which will be given to our children. This will just be used to reinforce what is taught at the workshops. And of course, at the end of the workshops, we'll have epic class parties with our children, and COVID protocols will be observed.
Okay, progress to date. We've identified the homes, made a contract with the Jamaica Fire Brigade and interpreter. We've made the evaluation of homes, prepared fire safety booklets, and identified our suppliers.
So our call to action, we are looking to you all for help. So we hope to partner with governmental agencies and businesses to sponsor the distribution of more Mickle Fire Kits. You know, just imagine the impact if each home had a fire kit. That would just be amazing. So we really want this to happen. And we also want the education sector to insist on implementing fire safety education in the public education system. The truth is that the majority of these fires can be prevented. So let's put some action towards that by working with these governmental agencies.
So phase 1 has been complete and we're currently in phase 2, and we look forward to phase 3, the implementation. And just to end this, we want to thank the UNDP, Jamaica Fire Brigade, RISE Management, UNESCO, and all the other partners for this amazing opportunity. We're very grateful, and we hope everyone here who listened to our presentation enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love how the Evermaker Foundation, they came with their own little poll or question, multiple choice question, Christina. And yes, I don't think anybody got it right. You know, we're all.
But what did you expect? Evermaker makes a muckle.
Right.
So they would have to come with every little thing here today.
Well, thank you for your excellent presentation. You know, we'll go straight to thank you, Abigail Batik and Jinglin, if that's the, I hope I got it right, for your excellent presentation. I'll be going through taking questions from the chat, but next, you know, we're going to go into the next person's, you know, giving hope to the marginalized suffering from psychological disorders and inner city community, which will be presented by Dr. Tamika Stevenson Harris of Total Health Services. Dr. Stevenson is with us.
Yes, I am.
Whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you. Okay, awesome. Is everyone seeing my screen? Is everyone seeing my screen?
Not at the moment.
Okay, let me go back and try to share once more. I think it's frozen and just giving it up. Okay. Is everyone seeing it now?
Yes, we are.
Everyone seeing the screen?
Yes, we're seeing the screen. We're seeing the screen and we're hearing you.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed. And of course, I'll be presenting the Total Health Services. I am the founder of Total Health Services, and this particular project for the AVA project is actually called the Health Line. As it relates to the objectives of this project is that we will be providing medical access and mental health screening access online for persons within the inner city community of Greenwich Town, to provide online intervention where we have empowerment sessions and counseling sessions. And if you look to my right, you'll also see a flyer of just what some of the areas includes that we'll be focusing on as we proceed with this project. Now, as we go on, as it relates to the justification of this project, I just really want to share, as it relates to the justification of something like this. Many times persons think of the word health and they're confused as to how does this really fit into crime and violence. And I want to share with you today that we are tackling the root of the problem. When, for example, a fire or something or someone is wounded or so forth, that is not the root. We need to find out what is the root, what has prompted that individual to either has started the fire, to either has become so aggressive or so forth, and that's where we comes in. And even as it relates to UNDP sustainable goal that speaks to number 3, as it says, good health and wellness. And I will just drag your memory to the news most recently that one of the most wanted, or one of the suspected individuals for a murder was actually a 15-year-old individual. I just want to highlight again that in 2006, over 2,600 of our youths were actually in court. And why were they brought to court? They were brought to court because of some of the offenses that I will share, which include some of them were wounding. Because of course, just want to share with you, some of them have been wounded themselves from a very tender age. Some of them has dangerous drugs in terms of their possession. And don't become naive, because many of them are introduced to some of these things from within their homes, and not just the homes, even the community that they're in, even as we speak about the marginalized individuals. And some, of course, were taught from a very early age, or have observed that some of those who are around them use it and said that they are using some of these things to relieve them of stressors. Now, we can't help but also recognize that one of the things that was highlighted was that some were armed with offensive weapons. And don't forget, you know, psychology also teaches us that a community is not just about, we have nature, but we also have nurture. And some of these individuals, for some reason, they have mistaken nurture with nature and feels like it's a part of their nature and they can't do any better. Now we all know that is otherwise. So I also wanted to share that, of course, the scientists have shared, researchers have shared rather, in 2021, that there are approximately 70% of those persons who are considered inmates who are suffering from some form of psychological disorder. Isn't that a large proportion? Isn't that more than 50% of those inmates? All of 70%. And so we are saying also, even during this period of the pandemic, which is why we have chosen an online platform, because we know that the impact, the effect of crowdedness can do. We had thought about an online platform in terms of reaching these individuals, because we know that even during this time, there's an increased number of persons with psychotic features and depression, as well as, don't forget that based on what's happening in our environment, there are certain predisposing factors, and many of them has even been increased with among these individuals. Like, for example, increased loss of income and food insecurity has exacerbated some of these issues as well. And we can drag your memory to some of the songs that were sung earlier on, in that has inflicted violence or are suggestive of violence when someone is hungry. And so we speak of increasing hunger. We also have other predisposing factors. There are dysfunctional families among these marginalized individuals. Sometimes we are clouded by the fact that even within a nuclear family, or a family that persons has deemed as mine, it was a loving family because they tend to give, that even within those families, there have been certain practices such as substance abuse, there have been physical abuse, verbal abuse, and otherwise, some of the very harsh disciplines within these communities and within these homes. And don't forget the behavioral disorders and the mood disorder. Might I add more as to why health, of course, has, in terms of your health, has impact some of these crime and violence, and the statistics have shown it. So you see persons out there, they are going about their business, and I want to drag your memory to sometimes some of the youth or some of the young female may even say to you at times, man, at this year, this me. If you think of some of the words that they use, you'll question yourself and said, how did they actually took that away from what I've shared? I was only trying to help. Sometimes you do not know the underlying problem. They are oftentimes gone or misdiagnosed, not diagnosed. And even as a physician working in the hospital, I've seen an increased number within this season as well of the pandemic. We are going to be providing healthcare to build healthier communities. And the method and strategies that we intend on employing is in terms of telehealth. So we may be using an online platform or developing an online platform to bridge the gap in providing healthcare and also to provide empowerment sessions to these individuals within the Greenwich Town community that we'll be targeting at this particular time. What we are hoping, what we are working on is, as we have shared in terms of the development of the platform in light of the pandemic, or the use of a platform, just to add our spin to it, to have specialist group of persons, including medical doctors, psychiatrists. Don't forget that sometimes persons say, you know, that one, I think something is wrong with him and it doesn't function so right. But oftentimes we do not know how to help them because they were never taken to the physician to be properly screened so that a diagnosis can be made and appropriate referrals can be made and interventions can be made from early among these persons to do what? To impact in a reductive way crime and violence. Counselors will also be on board in terms of providing counseling, and persons from the Victim Support Division will also be having 5 virtual empowerment sessions due to the duration of the project, and we'll be having coaches that will be among us on sharing online as well. The empowerment sessions are designed to tackle mental health and conflict resolution as we actually help these individuals and teach them certain coping mechanisms and also make appropriate referrals so that appropriate interventions can be done. This is just highlighting members of the group in terms of other executive members and treasurers and so forth that have helped to take the group this far. In terms of the predicted results, we'll be able to have proper diagnosis of depression and personality disorder, mood disorder, and might I add that also persons may have other underlying medical illnesses just as much as even an asthma or diabetes. And did you know that oftentimes persons become so depressed over it? That's why sometimes they go, they are uncontrolled because they're tired of taking the medication. They are tired and they're frustrated, and sometimes they wonder, why can't they live a normal life? These are some of the questions that myself and some of my colleagues oftentimes get. And so they are wrestling, not just a medical issue. We have to look at the mental area of the mental aspect of it. And of course, some of them are driven to commit suicide. And so we have an increased number of persons who have attempted suicide, both children as well as adults. And we have had those data inside as we have worked with them at the University Hospital of the West Indies, even during this season. We want to also share with them some coping skills that will be shared and employed by those who join. And each person who enter the program will be equipped to empower other members of the community. So we want a facility of each one teaching one. And early intervention will therefore reduce the impact on crime and violence in the community of Greenwich Town and by and large the country and the nation. Call to action. We will be working with the Greenwich Town Community Development Group to recruit members of the community, and also will be working with some of the churches within the community to also garner support as well as referrals for individuals who need assistance. We'll be liaising with the Jamaica Island Nutrition Network to provide nutrition screening and recommendation. We have our panel, a list of doctors and specialists in terms of psychiatrists and counselors who will be working with us and partnering with the Victim Support Division to provide counseling for abused individuals. We just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you to the RISE community and UNDP and other partners, including the Greenwich Town Community Development Council, as well as Jamaica Island Nutrition Network and J&J Pharmacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Tamika. Christina, you about to prompt me there. We're so moving. Love the lovely presentation. I hope everybody's still with us. And there they are, the claps come in.
I'm seeing the claps coming into the chat. I think Dr. Stevenson Harris is still sharing.
Okay, let me stop sharing. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. After that presentation, you deserve a little bit more screen time. It's fine. All right, so we just heard two very powerful presentations in their own right. We heard from Abigail Batika and Zing Ling, ambassadors of the Evermaker Foundation. They talked about their fire kits for a safer Jamaica. And then we had Justin and Dr. Tamika Stevenson Harris from Total Health Services, who spoke about giving hope to the marginalized suffering from psychological disorders in an inner city community. Ladies and gentlemen, at every angle that you can think of, our young people are doing work to transform lives in terms of citizen safety and security. We're now going to open up the floor for question and answers. So let's see those questions in the chat, as well as for those of us joining via the various live streaming platforms. You're also encouraged to ask questions as well. I see Abigail saying safer homes equals safer Jamaica. I completely agree with you, Abigail.
Right. Or perhaps even to save time, we may be able to allow permit a 1 or 2 barring our understanding of the time if you had preferred to raise your hand or something. But acknowledging the time. If we have any questions, anyone from the streaming for excellent presenters?
So while persons are asking their questions, we're going to ask for the call to action panel recap for this particular panel to be showcased now. So
Right.
persons can just have a quick look at what would have been discussed and even take a photo if you need to, in case you want to go back to, if you want to come back to
take a
these particular
photo, use the
presentations.
hashtags, every single thing, right? As you prompt and even think if you need any questions or anything.
Where are my interns? Are we getting any questions? So we're also asking all presenters to plug their socials into the chat so that persons may be able to connect with you after today, because we want to keep the message alive. It's not just about a summit. It's not a moment, as we would say, it's a movement. And so if you want to partner with these individuals, you want to volunteer, you want to sponsor, whatever it is that you find yourself being able to do, whatever your hands find to do, do it in service of people and country. So please reach out to them based on your passions and how that may collaborate going forward. So I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, yes, we are.
Yes, one just has come in. It's asking how often do we keep this program? So this person might have, this special summit is a special convening of our summit that we'll have as an annual development showcase. But if you want to see it more often, then as Christina said, we're going to ask the groups to plug their information into the chat so you can follow, get involved. Also follow us to see how often and everything we're being posted about this on our social media platforms. Track the hashtag, solving crime needs you, capital YouYouth. Youth. We need you, and they're plugging it in right there for that section. But Christina, we absolutely love this fact that we have this moving on. If we don't see any more Christina with us, we're going to acknowledge the excellent call to action that said we're going to strengthen victim abuse assistance, how we can address that, and perhaps move on to our next panel. But I'm seeing one in the chat right as I say that.
So the question in the chat is, Shamar?
It's from Sean Ellis, and he says, if you identify a mental health issue in your community, how can one assist that person to be more productive? Perhaps Dr. Harris wants to answer that one. So just a way that how they can assist persons with that mental health issues.
Thank you for that question. In fact, if you have been able to identify such individual, what we'd like you to do is make the appropriate recommendation. So if you know, for example, the person, loved one, let me first add that many persons who have a mental illness will tell you they're okay, they don't have one. So oftentimes to just share with that person to say, I would suggest that you go and see the doctor. A lot of times it may cause an argument or so, and some may listen, some may want to change, may feel the difference and may want to go. And so what I'm saying, you can actually speak with one of their loved one or a family member that is there to express what you have seen and your concern so that that person can take them in. And from time to time, oftentimes it's their caregiver or their parents who take them in, and it's usually a hassle to take them in. So you go by that route. If it's someone who is in your community who no one can get control of, you can actually call the hospital in terms of call any of the hotlines and inform them of a person that you have seen of an unsound mind who appears to be so-and-so to endanger him or herself or any other persons of the community or the actual physical structure, and they will send someone for that individual.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Stevenson Harris. And that would culminate our second panel. And Sean is saying thank you.
Christina, we're getting there. It's been a good afternoon so far. We'll get in there.
We get in there. We're now at our final panel for day one.
Day one.
For day one. And I love the name of the final panel. It's called Breaking Down the Barriers. So, you know, we just talked about at length different issues that we're seeing coming up. Well, earlier in the in our event, we talked about different issues, but these three young people will be talking about being aware of these barriers, but how are they breaking them down in their various or their respective jurisdictions? So first we have Neville Charlton. He's the founder of Youth Inspiring Positive Change Jamaica Limited, and he will be talking about breaking the cycle of violence through Youth for Peace, JA. Neville?
Whenever you're ready.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and I am happy to be here. Just give me a minute while I go ahead and share my screen. But while I'm going ahead and share my screen, I just want everybody to quickly post in the chat, how are you feeling? As you know, I am the positive one, I feed off energy. So guys, I want to know, how is everybody feeling so far? Just post in the chat, let me know. All right, so just continue posting, guys. As Christina had mentioned, I am Neville Charlton, founder and chair of Youth Inspiring Positive Change, which is basically a non-profit organization that is focused on volunteerism, advocacy, and peace building. And I also want to add, before I even go any further, youth are not useless. Honestly, we are used less, right? So if we can engage young people more in activities for positive change, not just within their community, but in programs, involve them in policy making, then we are on the right track. So let me give you a little background. I'm a serial volunteer. I love volunteerism. Our team is focused on volunteerism, peace building, leadership, and advocacy for a more safer Jamaica. We engage with young persons and we bring young persons to the table and say, hey, what are some of the ideas? What are some of the projects that you'd want to get involved in, right? So at the end of the day, what we basically focus, what we believe, right, is that we cannot break the cycle of violence by ourselves, right? We need to ensure that we create strong partnership and engage with young people more. So over the years, you have positively impacted over, everyone can see my screen? I think my screen is frozen, right? But
we're seeing it, but it's not moving.
Yeah, I think it is actually frozen. All right, but let me continue, right? So we have positively impacted so far over 10,000 young people from 2009. The organization was started in 2009, and we have positively impacted over 10,000 young persons throughout Jamaica through partnership, engagement, interaction, partnering with various organizations throughout Jamaica. So let me jump into the meat of the matter, right? If you really look at it, research in the National Youth Policy shows that in Jamaica, crime and violence are among the main concerns of young people and adolescents. We need to engage young people more, because when you look at it, UN Resolution 2250 sees youth as the main cohort of the population that are most affected by crime and violence, both as victims and perpetrators. And the Caribbean also have the highest homicide rate in the world, with young males 15 to 29 years old being 3 times the global average. Estimate also suggests that young men 15 to 35 commit 80% of crime within the Caribbean. So it is time to take action. So violence affects us all. Honestly, violence affects us all. We cannot escape it. We need to engage young people more in systems and policies that engage us, right? However, when you really look at it, leading a violence-free life is everyone, right? Yet we see violence around us, regardless of our gender, class, age, or social status. And if you really look at it, violence of this breaches a major human right, right? And to understand the culture of violence, we must look at each and every one of us and understand how it really impacts and influences us, right? Because only through that process can we begin to understand these deeply enforced ideas. And while violence can be very personal, right? And people are often not willing to talk about it. If we engage in a conversation and engage in programs, and if it's done, it is possible that persons can open up about it, and that conversation can be done in a brave and open manner. Let me just stop sharing for a while because I actually want to let and try to share back my screen. I'm going to see if I can share it again because I honestly want everyone to see what I'm talking about. I'm not sure what is going on. So, all right, let me just skip again. All right, so hi guys, I'm not sure what's happening with my screen. I am just going to go ahead again and share as a virtual back. I'm going to just go ahead and share my entire screen or the presentation itself. All right, so just give me a minute, everyone, while I go ahead and share it. All right, so let me just fast forward it. All right, so I'm not sure what's happening, so I'm just going to skip out the screen sharing as I've been doing and continue on with the presentation. I do apologize about that, everyone. So our initiative is really focused on conflict resolution, and it's called Youth for Peace, right? And we see young persons as direct mechanisms of change within their schools community, both nationally and internationally, right? So we want to break that cycle of violence by engaging and empowering and also mobilizing young persons for peace building. So that is going to be done through our Youth for Peace campaign, which will basically be focused on conflict resolution and how young people can resolve conflict. So I just wanted to go ahead and post in the group. Do you think as Jamaicans, we necessarily know how to understand conflict? Or let me ask you a question. Everyone on this summit today, do you believe that you have the necessary skills and how to resolve conflict? So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to engage. Part one of the project has already been done. We have selected 30 young persons from volatile communities, which are crime hotspot, right? So we have participants from the majority of our participants are from Tivoli, but due to the overwhelming response, we decided that, hey, we cannot just focus on one community alone. So we decided to engage with other surrounding communities, such as Tivoli, such as Denham Town and Chench Town, right? So we are going to engage them. We have listened to them. We have had that dialogue saying, what are some of the issues that's affecting you in your communities and how can we work with you to solve it? One, they have indicated that within their community, conflict is something that can manifest in so many ways, such as emotions, various beliefs, culture, the societal background, and also actions, right? And if we really look at it, oftentimes small conflicts tend to evolve from simple misdemeanors, right? So secondly, the second part of our program, which will start next week actually, is the empowerment. So we are going to focus on equipping these young men and women with the knowledge, skills, and attitude to understand conflict, counter it, and finally, we want to amplify their voices and activities within their community. So we'll be working closely with them through mentorship and partnership to become effective advocates. And also the 2.2 part of the project is that we have also identified mentors, because honestly, we need to provide that support system for our young people. Too often our young persons don't have that positive role model within their life to say, hey, don't do this, don't do that. And then at the end of the day, they are caught up in a life of crime. So we want to break it. We want to provide a positive role model, right? And even showing back at some of our programs, because this is a continuation. All of our programs that we have engaged with, both within Tivoli and other communities, we have seen where young men and women, some have matriculated from high school to college, some have graduated, and some are going on to bigger and better things, right? And one of the things that we have identified is that even when we are working with young people, a lot of times the projects start and then it finishes and then that's it. We have continued to work with young people and for them, right? So I'm not going to say that, hey, we're going to take over a project. We want our young people to put the ideas and say, never listen. This is what we want. This is how we want it to be done. Right, then the second thing we're going to do, which is the final thing, my bad, is we're going to mobilize them within their communities, right? We want them to be peace ambassadors within their communities. They understand the issues of what's going on in their community, and we want to give them that platform to engage with the stakeholders, engage with the community leaders, engage with both government official, private sector, and saying, hey, this is how we can resolve conflict, right? At the end of the day, I think, and research have also shown that conflict is a major issue because honestly, when I was younger, to be honest, I did not know necessarily how to resolve conflict, but over a period of time, understanding it, have gave me a better understanding of it. So I'm wrapping up now. I want everyone to think of a plant. I think of a tree that has just been planted. When you plant that tree, what you need, that tree needs to grow is proper nutrients for it to grow. Just like programs, what we need as well is support and funding to reach a wider range and also to promote, right, our projects. And also that will help us to continue the work. So I'm just using this as a call to action for all the relevant stakeholders to act now, not later. We need a combined strategic effort to help stem crime and violence. The government can't do it alone. The people cannot do it alone. Private sector cannot do it alone. Youth clubs cannot do it alone. We need a combined effort, right? We need added investment in improving capacity building as well. Once again, we cannot do it alone, right? So my question to everybody again right now on this call is, and I want you to post in the chat because it's time to stop violence. I want to ask everybody, I want to see those comments coming in. Are you ready to accept the challenge to help stop violence? Are you ready to speak out? Are you ready to join a youth club? Are you ready to join an organization? Are you ready to let your voices be heard? Are you ready to be a part of a movement? You have heard various wonderful young persons' ideas and suggestions. You can join one of those organizations. By all means, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at positive.org.ja. You can also follow us, can look for us on our website. It's very easy, positiveja.org. It's time for us to take action. It's time for us to let our voices be heard. It's time for us to bring our ideas, right, to the forefront. And this is why I love this program so much, is because UNDP, through their Amplifying Youth Voices and Project Action, they have given us young people that platform. They are not micromanaging us. They are saying, hey, what are the issues affecting persons within your specific group? And we as young people are putting those solutions forward. And that is what we need. Don't just give us a seat at the table and listen to us, but when it's time for the planning and execution, you leave out young people out altogether. Right? We need to ensure that young persons are also involved in the planning and implementation of programs. Thank you. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everybody. Join the movement.
All right, that was Neville Charlton, founder of Youth Inspiring Change, Positive Change rather. Listen to me, the young man his presentation was not working, and he still did an exceptional job. And it shows you that when you're passionate about your work and when you have experience doing your work, it's easy to speak about it. So even when the internet failing you, you're still able to translate that knowledge, that passion to the audience. And I think all of us here can agree that he did an excellent job. And please, ladies and gentlemen, don't just listen and say, nice presentation. Take up the call that he would have offered, that you should also get involved, whether in one of these organizations here, if possible, another another org that you're seeing in your community, or one that you probably need to start on your own, whatever route you take, get involved. It may not be the platform of crime and violence, but still there are many issues that need young people voices to be added. Meaningful participation, youth at all stages in the process. Now we have Sophia Steele, Amanda Clark, and Shanil Bailey. There are 3 executive, I like the title, Shamar, executive interns.
Not just any interns.
Right.
They're executive, impactful work.
Right. And they'll be talking about, well, their director of communications and strategy, that's where their department is. And they'll be talking about the YFE, Youth for Excellence, right? Youth for Excellence solution to tackling crime and violence. So Amanda, Shanil, Jabari, I didn't say Jabari, forgive me, Jabari. Amanda, Shanil, Jabari, and Sophia, take it away.
All right, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay, hit present. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Sophia. I am the Director of Communications and Strategy at Youth for Excellence, and I am speaking on behalf of our President and Founder, Janine Shepherd, and I'm joined today by 3 other executive interns at our organization. And a bit about YFE was that it was founded in 2015 by our president, Janine, out of a need to traverse societal inequities in Jamaica and the broader Caribbean region through a holistic education approach. And in regards to crime and violence, our team at Youth for Excellence recognizes that a key method to address this challenge is by providing at-risk and underserved youth with positive role models they can aspire to emulate. So research findings indicate that adolescents who can identify a positive role model in their lives have higher self-esteem and better school performance and are shown to decrease a youth's potential for risky behaviors. And last May, we held a multinational virtual educational event called Math Chattings, where we introduced over 5,000 primary and secondary school students to a variety of experts in a wider range of careers such as vaccine developers, animation artists, architects, engineers, entrepreneurs, record producers, and more. And additionally, we invited Dr. the Honorable Ralph Everard Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent, and ministers from Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago to speak to youth, encouraging them in their academic and life endeavors. And after the event, many students reached out to us expressing how impactful the experience has been for them. So after seeing the impact we made, we are making strides to continue providing even more opportunities like Math Chattings for young people in the Caribbean. And I'll hand it off to my next team member, Amanda.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So in addition to this, we hope to engage youth through productive activities. So in addition to role models, we must ensure that our youth are engaged in productive social activities, as research has demonstrated that maladjusted youth show a propensity to exhibit increased resistance to social integration and gravitate toward dysfunctional peer activities such as gangs. And those activities tend to fill the youth's need for identity, a sense of belonging, as well as worthiness. And as we know, who you surround yourself with is a major determinant in your life outcome. That is why we see it vital that action is taken for youth to join groups where they're able to work alongside other peers that are making a positive difference. At Youth for Excellence, we are able to offer many opportunities for youth to be able to give back to their communities through volunteering by teaching kids, helping to distribute items and other resources to these students, as well as even staffing some of our events that are hosted. We currently have 10 ambassadors in 5 different countries across the Caribbean, and we are looking to expand this program and build new chapters so that more young people, more of our youth will have the chance to join the YFE family and contribute to the larger cause. Furthermore, in all of our initiatives, we make sure to provide resources, provision of resources to these students, to our youth. Single parent households in Jamaica account for 41% of living situations, making up the majority of households that are below the poverty line.
Wait, Amanda, I think the screen's not showing.
Oh.
Let me try it. I could try again. See if it works.
Anything I could share.
Okay.
I'll share my screen instead. Okay, are you guys seeing it?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So I was discussing the provision of resources and the need that we see that resources are provided to students as well as their parents. Wait, sorry. Give me 1 second. So yes, the provision of resources, as we see that there's a trend of single parent households across the entire Caribbean region, and the struggle that these families face in affording to purchase important goods and services, which may include just school supplies, as well as decent healthcare for their children. In the past, we've been able to host multiple back to school events where students, through the help of our sponsors like Dignitary, Grace, and Kemlani Mart, have been equipped with tablets, healthcare checkups, food baskets, and even phone credit to aid in their academic journey. I hand off to my next, Chanel Bailey.
Oh, are you hearing me? Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned before, my name is Chanel Bailey, and I'll be speaking on some future steps that YFE would like to take in tackling crime and violence. So in the future, we're putting in place plans to set up mentorship programs where youth can connect with other youths who had a similar background experience with them. This program will serve to motivate young people to not give up and to plan for a positive future, while also providing them with a guiding figure they can build a positive relationship with, especially if they do not have this relational support system at home. Additionally, we're making plans for a youth job, skill, and apprenticeship program where youth can develop key skills in areas such as mechanics, electrical work, and journalism for free. Providing youth with opportunities to develop tangible skills will be an apprenticeship program for hands-on learning, where these youths could be paid after a period of the apprenticeship. Amanda, could you go on to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. Furthermore, we plan to place more emphasis on managing mental health because it is a fundamental part of overall health and well-being, as a mental element is very integral to crime because thoughts eventually will lead to actions and behaviors leading to criminal acts. Research has shown the inhibition, negative self-representation, and low sense of self have been identified as robust predictors of violent tendencies, contributing to the development of aggression and overall maladjustment in children. By having more dialogue about mental health and teaching about ways to manage mental in positive ways, we believe we'll be able to effect change in the lives of many. Additionally, since mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood, we also look to offer mental health education for the families and parents of youth. Thank you. Jabari will take over.
Firstly, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to state that in addition to mental health awareness, another crucial aspect in solving crime and violence would be to have increased youth engagement in government. Youth need not only to communicate with government officials, but also actually be in the center of the decision-making process. In the spring, we at Youth for Excellence are planning to host an initiative called the Refocus Education Assembly. This is where youth delegates from each country throughout the Caribbean, not only Jamaica, will be leading discussions and presenting research and policy proposals on a range of different issues. Our goal is to give youths a chance to communicate directly to government officials in their country and also professionals from organizations so that they will develop leaders who will guide the future. Next slide, please, Amanda. So our calls for actions. We're calling on the government and head of states to be committed to placing young people at the center of the decision-making process. In order for change to take place, they have to be receptive to new ideas and provide more platforms and initiatives where youths are able to speak out and take the reins. In addition, we also call for the expansion of the youth programs that offer opportunities for mentoring and skill development. Many programs of this nature currently exist, as we know. However, a majority of them do not have the necessary resources and financial backing to be able to substantially grow. To overcome this, we need the government to direct more attention and funding to these programs, ensuring that they are able to make the maximum impact. I now hand over to Sophia.
Yeah, so we also have intern opportunities that we'll be posting. So stay tuned to our socials on Instagram. Our handle is at Youth for Excellence. You can also find us on Facebook. Yeah, so keep tuned. And thank you for listening to our presentation.
Youth for Excellence, Christina, I'm telling you, lived up to the name. You know, they weren't just having, you know, numerous speakers just for show, but ultimately for real. You know, that was an exceptional presentation, just showcasing, you know, the work and what exactly, you know, their call to action and everything. So I really, really appreciate it. I know some persons may be watching the time, but just if you stay with us, you know, remember when we said about prizes at the start, where no person voted in our poll, Christina, or we just might have some store in for you once you stick with us. Christina, we're going into another panelist, you know, how are you feeling?
I am feeling excited. I am to see how empowered these young people are, not just for themselves and work that they're doing, but also providing platforms of purpose for other young people. You hear Youth for Excellence talk about opportunities for internships. Ladies and gentlemen, hear that? Executive internships will be opening up soon. And other orgs that I've talked about being able to volunteer with them. It's just remarkable to see how they're promoting this collaborative effort of how all of us can work together to ensure safety and security in our communities and our countries. So we talked about connections. Now we have Art to Connect, which is supporting youth with connections and opportunities to minimize the impacts of violence in their lives. And the presenters are Shama Dunkley, Youth for Development Network, or Jamaica. So just Shama Dunkley, and she's from Jamaica Youth for Development Network. Shama, the floor is yours.
It seems we don't have her here with us, unless she's having a technical issue.
Give her a second. Okay, so while Shama comes on, or we have the tech support team, or just the support team help us to find out what's happening with her. We are just a few seconds before our final poll for the day, which is really to ask you how you're feeling. But up until, that poll drops, I would want to see it in the chat. How are you feeling? We're now at the ultimate, the final presenter for this evening. And until she gets here, I'm sure you would have listened to all the other different speakers with the 2 other panels. We have the panels of, help me out, Shamar, we had the panel about keep yourself in check.
Right, we had one about greatness and guidance.
Greatness and guidance, exactly. And you'd have heard about all these incredible young people doing equally incredible work. So how exactly are you feeling? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel as if you want to get up a morning bright and early and said, this is how I am going to get involved? The poll has been launched. You can go ahead and answer that question right there. I wish I could vote, right, Shamar? I could go and talk about how I feel.
But I already know my answer. I don't know what answer I'd pick.
Right. So we do have some prizes and surprises as we had promised, and we always come true with a promise.
Yeah, always.
So we are going right into our first question. Shamar, what is the rule for this section? Because we want everything to be fair, Right. It's a day of peace, and we don't want any war over the prizes. So we want to ensure.
We want it to be fair. So we're going to be watching. So the first person in the chat who can indicate. So indicate in the chat, not your mics, the person in the chat who can indicate.
I think they can raise their hands though, can't they?
For the first one to indicate, so if your hand went up and there's no person in the chat, or your hand go up and 20 seconds later one went up in the chat, the first person that we're seeing, or if you're watching us from streaming online, we're watching for your answer as well. So those are the rules. So every single person has a fair chance. We have quite a few. It was not only one person for today, Christina, as we're going into it.
Esther, easy, Esther says she's ready. Esther is ready. So everybody else who want the prize, listen, Esther is coming as well. All right. So the question that I have to ask is this. We had a presenter earlier who spoke about, she was a doctor, yes, and she spoke about her project. It was called the Health Line. I'm going to ask you, what is the name of the doctor? What is the name of the presenter, right? Who talked about the health line, and what was the issue that her project was aiming to resolve, or at least mitigate? Let me repeat. What is the name of the doctor whose project is called Health Line? And what, it's two-part question, you can't get half. And what is the particular issue that her project was aimed at mitigating or resolving?
All right, so all persons, in the chat, if you're over here and watching, persons on our social media as well, if you're sending it in, we have persons watching, waiting, right? So it's the first persons. I feel
like we have a person though. Are you seeing it in the chat, Shamar?
I'm seeing one person who has been saying, who says Dr. Stevenson Harris, her issue was aimed at tackling mental health. So I think Nicola is the first person to have the full answer, Christina. So yes, we're awarding Nicola. Nicola, congrats, you're the first winner of our first giveaway here. So congratulations, Christina. Tell her this last into what her prize is.
But I see, I don't know, someone will have to help me. But you said Tafaris Gray. Tafaris Gray didn't answer right away. But Tafaris Gray is given an answer that is exact answer. So I'm probably going to have to ask someone else, a third person, to help us decide this winner, because I have to be fair. Nicola was the first, yes, but Tafaris Gray's answer is so much more specific. So I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I think what does that third person think? I should give both of them.
Who can advise? Someone
Right.
from UNDP's team, please advise.
But
Gabriel says you guys are the first person. Nicola says, yeah, but guys are the first
Gabriel wants to
person
stick to
who gave the correct
correct
answer. And you
answer.
have more correct than correct, you know, because the answer is
you have A, Christy, you have A, I have A plus.
yes, you have psychological disorders in the community, and that's the answer that Tafaris gave. I'm gonna leave this up to someone else to help us decide. I don't want to make this decision.
Right, if it was me, I just give both of you, to be honest, because we have to give out, ladies and gentlemen. We want to also, in this moment, Christina, just also open it for them to also bring in their questions for this panel as well. You know, while we're looking through it, if you have questions for these panelists, for example. Yes. Like I'm seeing one here, for example. You'd have been asking from Sean Ellis. He's been asking, for example, you know, if you had a mistake, how can those persons perhaps use their mistake, you know, just to retract back the future of young people, or to, you know, motivate back young persons around them in their community. So perhaps use their mistake as an inspiration. I think perhaps you'd have gotten that from Neville's presentation. I don't know if what Neville wants to, or perhaps any panelists from Youth for Excellence want to tackle that question.
Shamar, could you just go ahead and repeat the question for me, please?
Right, Neville. So they're asking, how can one use the, you know, the mistakes that they've made as a youth in life, just to perhaps motivate and inspire young persons in and around their community?
Right, so what I can say is that honestly, mistakes are a part of each and every one of us. We make mistakes, young and old. It's all up to the direction that you're moving forward, and that's why even mentorship and positive role model plays an important part in it. So even if you have committed a crime, whatever, and then you have served the time, or whatever mistakes, it could be some violence, or it could be another thing. The real thing is to get engaged in programs, to even go and try to see how you can align yourself with the organization, or align yourself with positive initiatives and become even a positive role model. Be a voice for the voiceless. Also speak out about your mistakes and talk about how it can be used as a stepping stone for you. So there are various channels, there are various ways, and there are also various programs that you can also get involved in. What I would say though, Shamar, is that listen, we all make mistakes in life. Definitely. Right? Honestly, as young people, we make mistakes. It's actually what we do after that mistakes. And this is why I'm going to stress that having a positive role model is so important in your life to help guide you.
All right, thanks for that answer, Neville. So Christina, I think overall, the person in the chat, as we go back to the previous one, don't worry, you all both will be getting the prize, Christina, as we move forward. I don't see if we have any more
Nicola
questions.
and Tafaris, you'll be both getting the prize. So congratulations. Tafaris is in here.
Right, so
awesome. Shamar, what is your question?
All right, I'm gonna make mine a little bit simpler. I'm gonna make mine will have no ambiguity.
Okay.
You understand? Okay. It's a simple answer, just to get us back on track. So my answer is, how much funds were the AVA 10 allotted for their projects by the UNDP? So all of the 10 groups would have received some kind of funding. What is the amount that they would have been given? First person.
I see someone drop it in the chat already.
Right.
It was Kanika Rust.
All right. So we have one here that from Kanika Rust that says 1.5 million. That's the first answer that I see. Congratulations, Kanika. That has come before all the others. I'm seeing 2 million, 10,000 US. Unfortunately, we don't have that much here, right? So thank you. So we're going with Kanika. Congratulations, Kanika. We're reaching out to you with your prize. That's why I tell you, Christina, nobody could not say mine more correct than mine for this one, you know. So
True. All right, I think we have one last one, right? Because it's right. So I don't know if you want to take that one. Your question seems to be a lot more clear than my question. I'm sorry, I'm a literature person. I love the extensive answer.
All right. Let's see. No one has any more. We're gonna give one more, you said, right?
Yes.
Give me another.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. We're going back. We're going back. Who is the resident representative of the UNDP? I'll give you a hint. You may.
For the UNDP multi-country office in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, specific. Thank you for that, Christina. I'll give you a hint. You may or may not have heard them today, perhaps. So, and it has to be the correct spelling. So let's be specific. If the first person who gives the correct answer, correct spelling of their name. All right. It's Christina. We see it.
Yes.
It's her again, Christina. It's her again.
Is Nicola?
It's her again.
Oh my, it is right before Fiona. Oh, Fiona. Nicola won again. Fair and square. I don't know if Nicola wants to give. Wants to give Fiona a little bribe. I won't get involved there. I won't. But Nicola is right. The answer is Miss Denise Antonio. Congratulations to all our winners. Nicola twice. Special commendations to Fiona as well as commendations to Reese as well.
And Christina, I love how I see the excitement in the chat to Christina, because just as we are saying that, remember we asked the poll a while ago how they're feeling. I think we finished the polls. We're technical kind of share results, just as they're giddy in the chat right now about their credit, just so we can see, you know, those results of what persons are saying. Christina, I absolutely love this one.
Most persons are saying that they are inspired. Wow. I am also inspired. So I can definitely relate to that emotion. And then second, we're seeing excited. So persons are inspired to go out and to serve in their communities. And they're excited about this opportunity, whether to do it on crime and violence as a platform or other areas that also need to be addressed. Shamar?
Right, definitely. And I really love that, you know, there's no person who's confused about anything they're said today. So we absolutely love that. We've appreciated that the summit has been proven beneficial to them in some way. And that is the kind of positive energy that we want to, you know, promoting today for our entire summit. And we absolutely love that. We've had minimal persons felt sleepy and want to leave us. Who is feeling sleepy, man? Listen, I'm telling you, they're in the minority. But we're so pleased, Christina, that we've had such excellent support for this our session today.
Indeed. So as we wind down, we want to play our Hot Off the Streets Box Pop video as we wind down, because we want you to also see what other young people would have been saying about these different questions that we would have asked, you know, about how young people how they want to play an important role in the eradication of crime and violence, and what do we think youth groups or young people can do to get started on addressing crime and violence in their communities. So I believe that our tech support will be playing this video at this time, and then right after that we'll come right back here. Don't go just yet, team. We'll come right back here and we'll officially close off for our first day of our youth summit on crime and violence. Video.
I think we'd have to probably like show them some statistics, because I think for the most part, most people, especially my age group, don't think they have like a say or impact. And
I feel like the government kind of run out of options right now, and the best thing to do is fall back on what was introduced here from day one, which was get the youth involved.
So you get up, you have your councillors, you have your MPs, you have your JPs, you get up and you talk to them daily about certain topics and see in which area they can actually help you out. But actually stand up and form something.
For young people, I would say they should find like a good role model for persons who advocate for peace.
So youth can do a lot of things to start addressing crimes in their communities. For one, we can start to speak up some more about it.
they can go back into our communities, they can have talks with like the younger children, because obviously if them start already, it's probably harder to like get them out, right? Talk to the younger children, educate them on the opportunities that are there for them, aside from probably going into crime and violence and such.
Christina, I'm telling you, it being the truest sense, in the truest fashion of our summit is one that we actually have to hear from the persons in our communities, the young persons who we are trying to reach. That is one thing that Mr. Charlton emphasized in his presentation as well about our reach. And so it's really, really, incredible, therefore, that as we hear from these young persons, hearing them saying, perhaps the strategies that governments and policymakers have always been making, we're running out of ideas. We want, reach these young persons to say, hey, we do not just want to be participator, but give us the forum, give us the platform. And I love that video, Christina. And perhaps it's one that we're reflecting on as we're rounding out day one here. How are you feeling, Christina?
Am I being heard?
Yeah, you're being heard now.
Okay, awesome. So as the team members, I'm calling everyone a team. I feel like we're just one big happy family from this summit. As persons would have said through the poll, they're inspired, they're excited. I'm also feeling inspired and excited. I'm inspired by the work that my fellow young people are doing. They're empowered, they're motivated, they're championing causes that they feel are important, with or without funding. Yes, UNDP is on board right now with all the different partners, and they would have been able to assist these different organizations with the 1.5 million per team or per group under the AVA 10 project. But I mean, outside of even that, we would have seen clear evidence of them doing work even before now. And I keep stressing that point because I want young people here who may not have funding like what other persons have through the AVA project. Don't feel that you cannot be of service or your idea cannot come to fruition. Right? These organizations would have started somewhere. Neville said that he has been around for a number of years with Youth Inspiring Positive Change, and I'm sure his org would have grown over time. Gabrielle Clark started off with her work in her school, and then it extended to now being a national body. I would even say international. Bullyproof Kids International. So there's also Youth for Excellence, who is in multiple different countries. And those are some examples. So your idea, it has power, it has purpose, and it has place. So don't think that your solution is not worthy, or that your solution won't have any kind of use. Put it forward. You may never know who is watching and may be willing to partner with you and to help make your vision bigger and better. So Shamar, we had an incredible day. We had 3 incredible panels. We had the Keep Yourself in Check panel. We had the barriers. Help me out, Shamar. Help me out. Breaking down the barriers.
We told them about the guidance and greatness. We checked. We did our polls. We got them involved. We saw exceptional videos all across, whether it was the Vox Pops, the Latin America, or Ava Christina, special mention for just our groups, the kind of presentations I saw, the videos when they all came and turned on their cameras to advertise. When I saw them representing in the chat, Christina, it was really, really exceptional.
Indeed. We want to thank our dignitaries and special guests who would have presented earlier. Most of them would have left, of course, but still we have to give them special commendations. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Oris Chang. Minister of State, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan. Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Denise E. Antonio. Director General, Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry. Director and Representative, UNESCO Caribbean Cluster Office, Sadia Sanchez Vegas. Executive Director of Rise Life Management Services, Sunita Abrahams, and Chairman of the PSAJ's National Security and Justice Committee, Lieutenant Commander George Overton. Shamar, those were our dignitaries.
But Christina, you know
Yes.
what I want to say? You just listed out those excellent presenters. I don't want anyone in the chat or watching us today to get it twisted. The best thing is that we're not even at the end of just our summits programs, because day 2, Christina, promises to be even more fulfilling. Christina, I just wanted to tell them about day 2, why they have to come. I saw somebody say, I'm ready to come back. I'm ready for tomorrow. Do not miss tomorrow. If you come today, your friend was not here, you tell them, say, listen, this was exceptional. We have to be here. Tell them about your Ready, Set, Express Yourself competition and showcase. Tell them, say, if them want to see young persons, the top 3 persons, you know, showcasing their talents. Tell them to come for that. Tell them to come for a development challenge. Tell them that if you don't want to come for, Christina, if I may say, you don't want to come for a theory conversation, you want to hear the solutions, come to our development challenge. You know, an announcement of our come to open mic, but also ensure you're here to vote digitally on the summit's call to action. Ensure you're not leaving without your action that you called to ask for the solutions to be implemented. Christina, it's been amazing, amazing, amazing.
Indeed, but as we end, we have to big up these 11 youth groups. As I said earlier, this summit was developed by youth for youth. Yes, we had the partners and the sponsors, and UNDP, of course, would have helped to make it possible, or was integrally making it possible. But these young people, their voices were the one at the forefront, championing the summit, championing the change around the summit in terms of changing their communities. I want to mention them once more. iSeed, Youth Inspiring Positive Change Jamaica Limited, Bullyproof Kids International, National Police Youth Club Council of Jamaica, Total Health Services, Norwood Community Development Benevolent Society, the Ever Mickle Foundation, Call to Lead Jamaica, the Jamaica Project, Young Women or Men of Purpose, and Youth for Excellence Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone here on Zoom who joined us on our live stream, whether on the Jamaica Information Service, Insta, Facebook, YouTube, and those different platforms for UNDP, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook as well for UNDP. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if we had any boys and girls, young people, change makers, visionaries, trailblazers, thank you so much for being here with us. My name is Christina Williams. I was honored to be your host for day 1.
I'm Shamar Wedderburn. It was a pleasure to facilitate and to be your host for this day 1 as well.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you bright and early. Well, not really early, it's 2 o'clock, but bright and
you can come early. It's the same link as today. You can come early.
Yes, you can come early, bright and sunny tomorrow. Day 2, our final day here at our Youth Summit on Crime and Violence.
Thank you.
What good?